Chapter 1: Echoes of Alien Pasts. The corridor breathes, a suffocating womb of rust and decay. Relek drags his claws along the pockmarked iron, each scrape reverberating like whispers of the past, sending sparks into the thick, stagnant air. Gornal mushrooms cling to the walls, their caps oozing black spores, mingling with the scent of burnt offerings, a mingled aroma of reverence and despair. In this narrow passage, he feels the pulse of Vyr'kathul throbbing like a distant heartbeat, distant yet painfully close. The air hangs heavy with the stale taste of history, each step a careful negotiation of sharp angles and shifting shadows. Relek's many claws skitter across the corroded metal, creating a symphony of clinks and clacks, a soundtrack to the corridor's timeless melancholy. A spurt of sparks escapes his touch, sizzling briefly before dying against the cold embrace of iron. He moves with a predator's grace, each shift of his limbs a testament to his mutable heritage, sharp angles and crystalline growths defying the natural order, embodying a lineage entwined with the cosmos' madness. He pauses, sensing the weight of the walls pressing in around him. The gornal mushrooms exude a palpable unease, their spores curling like tendrils of shadow against the flickering light. The sickly sweet smell of decay mixes with the bitter tang of burnt offerings, an unsettling reminder of rituals performed in desperation. Each breath fills him with the essence of his people's fears, their history clinging to the air like smoke from an extinguished flame. Footsteps echo in the distance, reverberating against the concrete floor, a chorus of hurried movement. Tension knots in Relek's core, his instincts honed through eons of survival. He senses the swirling energy within the enclave, an unsettling dance of chaos just beneath the surface. He quickens his pace, a silent prayer for the ancestors murmuring through his mind, urging him to stay vigilant. Ahead, the passage widens momentarily, a glimpse of the twisted remnants of the enclave's architecture. He approaches with deliberate caution, wary of the unseen eyes that may lurk in the dark. The passage pulsates as if it breathes, mirroring his heightened heart rate, his body a live wire thrumming with energy. There's a deep knowing that this place is alive, that each shift and shadow carries whispers of forgotten tales, ominous secrets intertwined with the fabric of existence. With a flick of his tentacled arm, Relek brushes aside loose dust that has settled in the air, revealing an engraved sigil etched in the iron wall. An emblem of forgotten power, its edges fraying like the resolve of those who once worshipped its might. He leans closer, fingers dancing along the grooves as he savors the cold ancient touch. Thoughts of forbidden knowledge weave through his mind, stories he has lived but never fully grasped. Suddenly, the low hum vibrating through the floor shifts, an electric charge pulling at the air around him. A chilling wind stirs, causing the gornal spores to scatter like ephemeral stars. He halts, eyes narrowing as he scans the shadows, pulse quickening, a ghostly whisper coils around him, thickening the very atmosphere. It beckons him to venture deeper, teasing the boundaries of his comprehension. With focused intensity, he straightens, his silhouette sharp against the dim light. Every claw feels the echoes of distant calls, an invitation and a warning all at once. The oppressive weight of the corridor threatens to swallow him whole, but he stands resolute. Relek breathes in the fear, the uncertainty, a tapestry of possibility weaving itself into his resolve. The darkness before him stirs, and he braces for the challenge, ready to confront whatever lies beyond the veil. The tenements loom, grotesque silhouettes fashioned from leviathan bones, their surfaces riddled with scars of ages past. Relek strides forward, navigating the oppressive gloom of Vyr'kathul's heart, where shadows twist and curl like living entities. The air thrums with low murmurs and distant echoes, a haunting reminder of lives lived under the constant specter of cosmic horror. He moves through the labyrinth, each step a measure of both caution and defiance. The cracks in the walls whisper forgotten names, remnants of an age when the enclave was more than just a refuge for the damned. Beyond the alleys, The collective breath of his people melds with the ambiance of dread and expectation. Unfurling shapes glide behind shuttered doors, glimpses of existence buried in secrecy. A sudden commotion slices through the darkness, drawing his attention. A cluster of humans stands huddled together, their eyes wide with fear. One points, a trembling finger aimed directly at the emerging figures from the shadowed doorways. "Abominations!" they exclaim, the word curling with disdain and terror. Relek's breath quickens. He knows these humans, their fleeting visits fraught with suspicion and disdain. They gather beneath the skeletal archways, their nervous murmurs dancing with the chill of the enclave's air. He feels their eyes boring into his skin, mistrust radiating like a tangible force, but he forces his focus outward, meeting their hostility with a steadfast resolve. The venom of fear courses through the group, an instinctive reaction to the unknown, the alien that threatens their fragile reality. How can they survive those twisted shapes? Another human mutters, clenching his fists as if preparing for a confrontation. How can they live with themselves? From the shadows, a procession of Yithian-descended figures emerges, their forms adorned in the ceremonial insignias of the enclave. Relek can't help but observe the ritualistic fervor illuminating their movements. They carry vessels filled with quicksilver blood, the liquid glistening ominously, reflecting fractured light like fragmented souls. Calloused hands work with purpose, dabbing the crimson onto carved sigils etched into the very bones that form their dwelling, markings that pulse with significance, an ancient language entwined with dark power. The air thickens with palpable tension as he witnesses the ritual unfolding. Each brush of quicksilver against stone sends shivers down his spine, a blend of reverence and horror gripping him. Dark eyes glimmer with fervor, the ritualists fixated on their sacred task, unyielding to the encroaching darkness outside their enclave. He marvels at their focus, their devotion, a reminder of their shared ancestry and the legacy they carry upon their shoulders. Relek feels the churning conflict within himself, a protectiveness for his people, battling against the bitter awareness of their juxtaposition with the humans. As he watches the humans' expressions twist between disdain and abject terror, he knows this moment defines the fragile thread between the two worlds. To his kin, he's merely another guardian. To these humans, he's the personification of their nightmares. The weight of ancestral memory pulses through him, blurring the lines between fear and loyalty. Ritualistic chants rise, woven through the air like haunting melodies, each syllable a bead of resonance vibrating in the atmosphere. The quicksilver shimmers, a liquid invocation that holds the promise of power and protection. With each application against the sigils, he feels the current of history coiling tightly around them, ancient forces thrumming against the flesh of the enclave, their shared existence teetering on a precipice. Yet he senses a creeping unease beneath the reverent tension. Shadows deepen, swirling around their gathering, whispering secrets meant only for those who dwell beneath the surface. Relek's gaze flits between the humans, their expressions hardened and closed off, and his kin, enshrined in ritual and determination. The chasm between them yawns wider, threatening to engulf all in its depths. As Relek takes a step back, the intensity of the moment thickens, blending uncertainty with purpose. He knows this is not just a clash of beings. It is a struggle for understanding amidst the harsh realities of existence. The echoes of the past collide with the present, a moment suspended in time, and he must navigate the fragile bridge that may either unite or sever their worlds forever. Deeper still, the enclave shifts, a labyrinth woven from the memories of lost civilizations. Relek steps into a maw of decay, where echoes ripple through the crumbling architecture, each sound carrying tales of despair. Here, the walls seem to lean closer, their metallic groans reverberating against the edges of his consciousness, tugging at fears long buried. With each stride, he senses the atmosphere thickening, cloaked in a palpable tension that swallows all light. Shadows play tricks, flickering at the edges of his vision, blending into a world where nothing is truly as it seems. The dim glow illuminates fractured stone and twisted angles, revealing secrets hidden beneath layers of neglect, a grotesque beauty that both fascinates and repulses. A labyrinth of horrors. Each turn could unveil whispers of the past or vengeful specters clinging to their dying realm. The air stirs with an unsettling symphony. Whispering voices conjoin with the echoing groans of the structures, forming a narrative all their own. Words twist around him, almost recognizable but forever elusive. Relek's heart quickens. This realm breathes, hums with something that thrums beneath his skin, tugging at the ancient blood coursing through his veins. And then, the low hum he felt earlier swells, a pulse beneath the ground vibrating with increasing urgency. He pauses, transfixed, claws skittering against the floor as he aligns himself with the source of the disturbance. The air grows electric, sparking with a thrill that makes his skin prickle, a sense of foreboding churning deep in his gut. Dread unfurls in his chest, not just for himself, but for the fate of his people who are shackled to the whims of an unfathomable universe. He strains to listen, every beat of his heart synchronized with the chaos swirling around him. As he scans the corridors, shadows flutter and swirl, cloaked in their own sinister dance. Tendrils of darkness snake through the air, threading their way into his awareness, coiling around his very thoughts. He is not alone here. A chill wind rises, scattering the remnants of his focus. The darkness seems to ripple, distorting shapes into grotesque forms, an illusion of threat weaving into the very fabric of reality. Relek leans into it, summoning the strength of his lineage, standing resolute as the echoes around him become urgent, pleading for recognition. What binds him to this place is more than blood. It is a purpose carved from the ancient stones that surround him. His tentacle-like limb unfurls slightly, bracing for the unknown. The presence in the air thickens, a chilling awareness almost sentient, slipping beneath the threshold of understanding. The ground vibrates, urging him to confront whatever lurks within this enveloping darkness. For a moment he stands still, the weight of an otherworldly gaze boring into him. A challenge, a beckoning, urging him to step further into the maw. Gathering himself, Relek pushes forward, claws scraping against the iron ground as he confronts the unseen threat. The air around him churns with energy, crackling like a storm waiting to be unleashed. He navigates deeper into the enclave, following the tendrils of sound and vibration that bind him to this unfolding enigma. His resolve solidifies. This confrontation is inevitable. The shadows weave tighter, wrapping him in their darkness, pulsating like a living entity, a precursor to the storm of chaos that lies ahead. With unwavering determination, Relek plunges into the darkness, prepared to confront the unknown, to reclaim the legacy of his people. He stands upon the threshold of madness, aware that the cosmic truth they hide could either shatter him or guide him to the answer they all seek. Chapter 2. The Theft of the Chronophage Orb. In the obsidian shadows of the Bone Cathedral, the High Priestess and her acolytes glide like whispers through the narrow corridors, their footsteps a muted cadence against the stained stone walls. Towering skeletal remains loom overhead, their bleached ribcages intertwined with rusted iron, creating a gnarled canopy under which ancient rites unspool. Flickering torchlight dances across the High Priestess's waxen visage, revealing a face perpetually in flux, a chilling emblem of her devotion to the outer dark. "Seize the orb," she intones sharply, her voice a harmonic tremor that reverberates in the damp air. The words spiral with authority, urging her followers into action. Clad in elaborate ceremonial robes adorned with cosmic symbols, they move with unsettling fluidity, eyes gleaming with fervor as they gather before a reinforced metal chamber, a relic from a time unmeasured, bound to secrets no living soul should possess. Each movement, deliberate yet frantic, pulses with the ambition of the cult that thrives in shadows, craving knowledge veiled in darkness. The cultists spread out, their gloved hands digging into ancient surfaces slick with an otherworldly moisture. They wield implements of forgotten design, rusted but imbued with an echo of power. As they pry at the chamber, a sudden clang reverberates through the constricting darkness, intermingling with the echoes of distant rituals, a reminder that the outer dark breathes through the very bones of Vyr'kathul. One acolyte thrusts a hand into the niche, grunting under the pressure of expectation, fingers scrabbling against metal, drawn to the pulse emanating from within. The air thickens, crackling with static and tension. Suddenly, a blinding flicker of void light spills into the corridor as the Chronophage Orb reveals itself, a vessel of energies beyond comprehension, shimmering and shifting as if it holds within it the entirety of forgotten times. A collective gasp breaks from the cultists, the weight of its significance heavy upon them, heartbeats quickening in unison. Tendrils of primal dread coil around their minds, a sweet whisper teases of power, knowledge, transcendence. They lift the orb, and with it, a thrill of forbidden potential courses through their veins, intoxicating and consuming. But as quickly as that thrill arises, urgency overrides it. The High Priestess barks out commands, her followers retreating, taking swift and silent steps back through the cathedral's blood-stained bones. They leave behind their sacred marks, dripping remnants of their labor, and the acrid scent of burnt offerings that weave with the fungal musk of fermenting gornal mushrooms, creating an olfactory tapestry steeped in dread and sacrifice. They move back through the shadowed corridors, each step weighted with the gravity of their act. The air seems to shudder, a distant keening vibrating from the very walls of the cathedral, an echo of the void itself lamenting the loss of its orb. The High Priestess, her countenance shifting in the flickering light, glances over her shoulder, as if sensing the unseen consequences of their theft, lurking just beyond the fringes of reality. As they emerge from the cathedral's maw, into the creeping fog that cloaks Vyr'kathul, the unease of their acquisition deepens. The High Priestess' eyes glisten with a feral hunger, a promise of what is yet to come. For within the confines of their grasp lies not merely an artifact, but a gateway to realms unseen, a channel through which the outer dark might weave its malevolent threads into the fabric of their world. The courtyard sprawls before him, a jagged expanse of stone and bone framed by the encroaching gloom. As Relek bursts through the crumbling archway, his senses snap to attention, every nerve tingling with an urgent call to action. He takes in the empty chamber door, a yawning chasm devoid of the orb, its absence echoing like a wail of despair in his mind. He shoves aside a crumbling debris of ancient bones, his claws scraping harshly against the rough surfaces, amplifying the disquiet in the air. His heart races, fueled by dread and fury, as he senses the aftermath of the cultists' dark ritual rippling through the ether. A guttural groan escapes his throat as his flesh visibly peels into spiraling tendrils. Fragments of skin curl and twist on the moist ground. The transformation surges within him, each pulse fracturing his perception, warping him into something both alien and monstrous. Above him, a cluster of chittering insect familiars skitters from a recess in the stony wall, their bodies gleaming in the weak light. They swarm toward him, a mass of legs and wings, their movements unnervingly synchronous. The air vibrates with their whispers, though they carry a weight of ancient knowledge that reverberates in his bones, an unsettling cadence that demands he pay attention. Their presence stirs a flicker of recognition in his core. They are harbingers of the elders, seekers of truth, drawn by the disturbances left in the wake of the cult's sin. The orb's absence tears the veil, the disembodied voice resonates within him, the tone stitching fear and urgency into the fabric of his thoughts. Relek's claws curl, trembling as his body shudders violently, an echo of the cosmic horror stirring just beyond the thin layer of reality. He stares at the place where the cultists vanished, a gaping wound against the stony backdrop of his home, the ground still slick with their departing essence. With every heartbeat, the horror of the implications gnaws at his resolve. The teachings of the elders swirl in his mind, the power the orb holds, its connection to realms lost and paths leading to doom. He knows well the risks they dared to embrace, the havoc it could wreak upon Vyr'kathul. Sweat mingles with ichor as he battles against the chaos consuming his being, and within him, the ancient knowledge of his lineage courses, wrestling against the fear clawing at the edges of his sanity. He forces himself to remain steady, to seek the threads of purpose woven into the cacophony of his transformation. The weight of duty pulls him forward, urging him to act, to comprehend the scale of what they have unleashed. Scattered remnants of blood litter the ground, a dark testament to the cult's path, and with them comes the palpable tension, thickening in the air like a shroud. As he looks around, the remnants of the cult's presence linger, infused with a desperation that gnaws at him. What did they expect to gain? What price would they pay for the secrets of the outer dark? Every instinct shouts the warning, yet within him, the promise of action flickers, a beacon urging him onward into the unknown. The potential disaster lingers on the periphery of his mind, images of crumbling cities rising like specters. An insidious darkness spills from that chamber, a breath of ancient dread weaving its way into the fabric of reality itself. Relek's determination ignites amidst the chaos, shaping itself into resolve. He must protect his people from the horrors that ripple from the stolen orb, for the shadows encroach ever closer, and he stands as a thin barrier against the void's creeping hunger. Chapter 3: Awakening of the Blood. Relek strides through the narrow, crumbling passage, where rusted iron beams loom like forgotten sentinels. The walls pulse with a leprous decay, whispering secrets of ages lost to the void. With each step, his sharp claws scrape against the metal, a cacophonous protest that echoes through the tight space, while his skin ripples as if responding to unseen tides. Bones shift, contorting into alien angles, and a series of sharp cracks punctuate the air, a symphony of unease as he presses forward. A shiver runs down his spine, something beyond the physical, a sense that he treads in realms shadowed by memories not his own. Each footfall resonates with an unsettling certainty, the remnants of an ancient lineage thrumming through his very core. The passage narrows further, a coffin of iron and stone, and the air grows thick with the scent of dust and something eldritch, something unspeakable. Then it happens. A sudden rupture in the air, a breach of reality itself, and the passage warps, a flickering pane of time. He sees her, the high priestess of the eclipsed hand, standing upon a stone dais that seems to pulsate with an aura of dread. Her face distorts in a macabre play of waxen fluidity, fluid, and ever-shifting in the flickering light of distant stars. A sensation grips him, familiar yet horrifying, as her mouth opens and the sound of dead stars spills forth in an ancient tongue that claws at his consciousness. The orb lodged deep in her chest pulses with a sickly rhythm, and from its core emerge winged serpents, dark sinuous forms that writhe against her decaying flesh, battling against the gravitational pull of their creator's flesh. Each movement they make seems to bring with it echoes of suffering, of a history interwoven with dark intent and unholy devotion. The high priestess's eyes glow with an unnatural gleam, betraying a hunger that transcends time. A shudder reverberates through the very marrow of reality, leaving him momentarily breathless. With instinctive determination, Relek opens his mouth, and a series of resonant, disjointed tones escape, a chorus of overlapping voices rich with the timbre of his kind. The echoes twist and weave in the air around him, a language without bounds, carrying weight and meaning that are profound and ineffable. He struggles to focus, knowing that within the layers of those haunting echoes lies the key to a greater truth, a bridge between worlds marred by misunderstanding. Seek the outer dark and what dwells beneath it, the high priestess intones, her voice swelling, causing a wave of distortion to ripple through the space. Each syllable punctuates the air with electric tension, vibrating against the walls that tremble in response. Know that power births truth, and truth births the unknown. The serpents twist free, slashing at the air, and in their violent arcs, they seem to draw closer to Relek, their shadows mingling with his own, as though they are strands of a darker fate intertwining. The fear coils within him, urging him to flee, to run from this horror that exposes the darkness festering beneath the surface of reality. But his curiosity binds him. It is a complex weave that fills his veins with a magnetic pulse. A creeping awareness stirs inside him, fueled by the urgency of the vision. With every moment the scene unfurls, the knowledge weighs heavy on his soul. Who is to say what is a blessing or a curse when the shadows dance at the edges of comprehension? The vision contorts further, the figures trembling and melding until the priestess seems almost unrecognizable, her essence merging with the chaos swirling about her. Is she the harbinger of truth or terror? He tries to discern, to extract meaning from the surrounding discord, but the reality frays around him, turning into a maelstrom of grotesque interpretations. And just as suddenly as it arrives, the vision fractures. The radiant light of the high priestess snaps back into darkness, and Relek stumbles forward in the cramped passage, gasping as the air rushes to fill the void left in the wake of revelation. The serrated edges of the world push into him, the scrape of his claws upon the metal more pronounced, and yet there is an echo that refuses to fade. The revelation intertwines with his sense of purpose, solidifying his resolve. He steels himself, aware now of the complex web spun by their existence, his, the enclaves, the priestesses. Each is intertwined, tethered to the cosmos by threads of forgotten lore. With one last glance at the fading darkness, Relek moves deeper into the passage, aware that what awaits is far darker than he can foresee. The heavy metal door creaks open, revealing a cluttered backroom lit by sputtering amber bulbs that fight against the shadows pooling in the corners. The air hums with the residue of eldritch energies and the metallic tang of forgotten discoveries. Dr. Marina Chen stands at a battered work table, her scarred hands a flurry of deliberate movements, meticulously arranging alien artifacts while her sharp eyes scan the vibrant diagrams pinned to the wall, each mark and note a testament to the profound enigma that binds their fates. Relek crosses the threshold, his imposing figure momentarily silhouetted against the dim light. The scene he enters is alive with frenzied energy. Sketches of the Chronophage Orb paper the walls like a frantic record of desperate thoughts. Artifacts glint under the soft illumination, beckoning with whispers of histories yet to be uncovered. The room's chaotic order feels like a reflection of the minds within, brilliant, fragmented, and dangerously close to awakening something greater than themselves. Relek, look here, Marina calls out, her voice firm, holding a gravity that demands attention. She taps a small, flickering device that buzzes like an insect caught in a jar. A diagram projects into the air, vibrant colors thrumming with unnatural life, illustrating the very essence of the orb. This is what powers it, she says, tracing the flow of energies with steady precision, her finger gliding along the path of swirling patterns that pulse in sync with the heart of the orb. His gaze locks onto the intricate details, feeling the charged static vibrate around him, illuminating the intersection of science and horror. Power draws attention, Relek responds, his voice rising above the tension, a chorus rich with alien resonance. And the cost of that attention is one we cannot afford. Marina's brow furrows as she considers his words, her fingers dancing over the rough schematics pinned nearby. What concerns me most is not just the orb's power, but how it bridges realms, distorting time and space. Each fluctuation presents both a promise and a peril. Her voice carries an undercurrent of urgency, reflecting her growing apprehension. We are speaking of forces beyond our comprehension. I feel its gravity, Relek replies, the vibrations in his voice shifting like currents through water. He steps closer, intrigued and alarmed, as her detailed analysis reveals glimpses of something far more complex than he anticipated. And yet, I wonder what awaits on the other side of such thresholds. Knowledge unshared breeds decay. Will we dare to harness that decay, or will it consume us? Marina exhales sharply, the weight of his insight pressing heavily between them. There are artifacts in this room, remnants of their knowledge, as ancient as the darkness that birthed them. Each carries its own legacy, fraught with danger but rich with understanding. We must tread carefully, for every discovery invites the risk of awakening something unfathomable. The tension ripples in the air as she points to a particularly jagged artifact, the edges glistening with an unsettling sheen. This fragment contains echoes of the Chronophage's last feat, a relentless entity that consumes the essence of time itself. We can unlock unimaginable potential, but at the risk of tearing the very fabric of our reality. The remnants of dread and fascination hang heavily in the room, charging the atmosphere. Relek studies her carefully, seeing not just a scientist but a bridge builder torn between worlds. You are right, Marina. Yet, we may not have the luxury of time on our side. If the High Priestess's cult seeks the orb, it will not rest until it holds sway over its powers. We must unearth its secrets before the shadows encroach. His voice becomes a whisper, filled with the echoes of shared dread and determination. I've documented everything, she insists, gesturing toward a stack of rough notes piled beside the diagram. This contains every theory I've developed regarding its energy flow and properties. Take it. She hands him a rough copy, the paper feeling coarse against his fingers, filled with intricately drawn diagrams that pulse with unspoken potential. Each note reminds him of the haunting vision, the High Priestess and her dark disciples vying for control, an echoing harbinger of chaos. He looks up at her, uncertainty flaring in his gut. We will need each other to navigate what lies ahead. The gravity of their quest settles in the spaces between them, a tenuous partnership forged by mutual respect and mounting fear of the darkness that beckons them closer. Marina nods, her features illuminated by the amber light, a silhouette of resolve in the midst of uncertainty. We will, Relek. But remember, every step we take may lead us into shadow, not merely knowledge. She holds his gaze, and in that moment something unspoken passes between them, a shared understanding of the price of their inquiry. Together, they turn back to the cluttered table, diving deeper into the burgeoning knowledge of the Chronophage Orb, each moment fraught with the knowledge that they are unearthing relics not meant for mortal hands. As static hums softly around them, the room closes in, wrapping them in its frenetic embrace, even as shadows deepen, edging ever closer to consuming their world. Chapter 4. The Whispers of Ulnathra. Relek pushes open the narrow entrance into the labyrinth of weeping stone, rust flaking off as the door creaks in protest. The smell of damp earth and decay rushes to greet him. He steps through, claws scraping against the slick, uneven stone, feeling the weight of ancient shadows descend like a cloak. The corridor yawns before him, alive, walls pulsing visibly, expanding and contracting with a wet sheen that makes his stomach lurch. The floor, coated in a viscous dark fluid, sucks at his claws as he moves, crunching beneath the weight of his resolve. Flickering light from a single failing lamp clings to the walls, casting shadows that slither along the textures of cracked bone and rotten masonry. Each step feels like an intrusion, as though he disrupts the very essence of the labyrinth with every echoing footfall. The low mechanical hum fills the space, a relentless droning that buzzes in his ears and reverberates against the structures, punctuating the silence with harsh metallic blows. He glances at the walls, their slick surfaces shimmering unnaturally, reflecting a reality that bends and warps beyond reason. Relik's claws dig into the fluid layer, eliciting a squelch that drips back like ancient memories refusing to fade. He keeps moving forward, senses sharpened. Each breath is a careful negotiation with the dank, heavy air, where the essence of the labyrinth thickens like an unfathomable fog. With every stride, the surrounding darkness seems to gather, molding into sinister shapes at the edge of his vision. What lurks within the void? Something watches, something hungry. He steels himself against the growing dread clawing at the edges of his thoughts, focusing instead on the purpose that drives him deeper into the gut of the earth. He carries the weight of his people with him, a history laced with legends and secrets, all of which depend on the answers hidden within this relentless maze. Relik's heart pounds in rhythm with the pulsing walls, a syncopation that almost hypnotizes him. Time flows differently here, his perception twisting in response to the labyrinth's call. How long has he walked? The shadows weave through his mind, whispering the histories of those who ventured before him, tales of despair entangled with whispers of ancient glories. But he will not falter, not where others have failed. Not with the weight of the past upon him, urging him forward, igniting a flicker of determination. The light flickers once more, sputtering like the dying breath of a star, and he advances, each step a countermeasure against the creeping gloom. Tension coils within the pit of his stomach, and for a heartbeat, he wonders if he is but a strand in a vast web woven by something beyond comprehension. The hum intensifies, now a dissonant melody that seems to taunt him, to beckon him closer to whatever truth lurks beneath the labyrinth's skin. Finally, Relek exhales sharply, letting the sound reverberate through the tunnel, signaling his defiance. He continues onward, reaching a sharp turn where the path diverges, one shrouded in deep shadows, the other a glimmering promise of luminescence. Instinct pulls him toward the light. He is drawn to the luminescence that shudders with unspoken secrets. As he rounds the corner, the walls close in, and an insatiable hunger seems to permeate the air, a knowing of the deeper darkness that lies ahead. With one last clawed push against the wet stone, he finds himself in a wider chamber, where the ambience shifts, vibrating with ancient energy, each breath heavy with forgotten memories. The labyrinth shifts around him, a living entity, and Relek prepares to confront whatever awaits, a quest driven not just by the desire to survive, but to reclaim the lore of his people from the maw of oblivion. Deep within the labyrinth, Relek steps into a cavern that feels alive, a breathless expanse where shadows sway like dancers at the edge of perception. The massive fungal structure that dominates the space pulses rhythmically, its surface shimmering with a grotesque beauty. Tendrils writhe, their phosphorescent light illuminating the damp air, and Relek's breath catches in his throat as he realizes he stands on the precipice of something ancient, something that transcends his understanding. Ulnathra reveals itself in clusters of odd, luminescent tendrils, pulsing with a cadence that resonates deep within his bones. Each soft glow seems to tell a story, weaving through the thick air laden with the scent of earth and decay. As he approaches, the familiar anxiety returns. This living entity of memory and intelligence holds more than mere knowledge. It represents an uncharted territory of experiences lost and consumed. Relek positions himself with his back rigid against a stone ledge, his claws flexing in a controlled rhythm, attempting to maintain an air of authority despite the strange, unsettling vibe radiating from the fungal mass. "I need the map to the citadel," he asserts, voice steady, yet tinged with an undercurrent of urgency. The words hang between them, reverberating in the stillness. The cavern responds. Ulnathra shudders in response, releasing a fine, visible cloud of airborne particles that drifts toward him, enveloping him like a ghostly embrace. The spores twirl and flicker in the light, dancing in the air before him, as if time itself has begun to spiral into fragments of memories both distant and tantalizingly near. The weight of expectation presses upon his chest, heart racing in tempo with the pulsations of the fungi. There's a softness to Ulnathra's presence, a gentleness beneath its vastness as it extends a creeping tendril toward Relek, its tips brushing against his skin as if testing the temperature of his resolve. In that fleeting contact, he feels the residue of countless lives, whispers carried within the network of consciousness, the laughter of childhood, the bloodied cries of a first kill. Each sensation ignites a war of emotions within him, but he steers his focus outward, resisting the urge to retreat. In reply, Relek slowly lifts a hand, exposing a jagged scar where his flesh visibly ripples, memories shimmering just beneath the surface like fish darting through murky waters. Take my memory, the lullaby of my mother, the stench of my first kill. His offer hangs in the air, weighted with both sacrifice and yearning. The fungal tendrils coalesce at the sound of his voice, drawing away fragments of his past in the form of ephemeral glimmers that break apart like glass, slowly fading into the maze, threads of existence unspooled. The cavern seems to lean in closer, walls reverberating with a silent roar as Ulnathra processes his offering. Moments stretch and bend. Time twists unnaturally around them as he feels pieces of himself, intimate recollections, slipping away. The bargain draws out his very essence, yet he does not falter. A flicker of pain briefly sharpens in the air, replaced by an uneasy clarity. As the exchange completes, a crude organic map unfurls before him on a slab of pulsating stone, a topography laden with secrets and corridors waiting to be traversed. He reaches to collect it, the surface cool against his claws, and as he does, a shiver runs through him, an echo of ancient knowledge passed between them. But with the warmth of understanding also comes fear, a raw apprehension leaving him trembling, thoughts spiraling into the darkness of the labyrinth's heart. Relek's breath catches as the shadows flicker behind him, edges retreating momentarily as the map's faint glow brightens. Yet Ulnathra stirs. A sudden shift in the atmosphere leaves him feeling raw and exposed. This space, this communion, could unravel him entirely, unravel the boundaries of who he is, and thrust him into deeper realms of existence. The air grows heavy with uncertainty, leaving him on the precipice of a deeper, uncharted darkness. As the tendrils of Ulnathra envelop his hand, Relek feels an instantaneous jolt, a connection that fuses him to the consciousness of the labyrinth. Memory floods into him, a river overflowing its banks, the lullaby of his mother echoing through the dark, tangling with the visceral stench of blood and primal fear. Each fleeting image strikes deep, carving out spaces in his soul and challenging his perception of identity and truth. Colors blur, shapes twist, and he is hurled through time as ethereal fragments take hold, memories once tucked away surfacing to mingle with his present consciousness. The laughter of a child, himself, bright-eyed, the world full of possibilities, morphs into echoes of a hunt, sharp claws slicing through sinew as adrenaline electrifies the air. It grips him, weaving a tapestry of his being that falters under the weight of these haunted recollections. Each emotion unravels something deep within, layers of past lives intertwining, as Ulnathra greedily siphons off pieces of Relek's essence, drawing knowledge from his marrow. He gasps. The vastness of Ulnathra expands beyond comprehension. The entity's presence is at once ancient and newly vibrant, stirring with glee at each strand of Relek's life pulled free. It finds value in his fears, his triumphs, but more chilling is the delight in his pain, the first wound inflicted, the betrayal buried in the heart of loyalty. He catches glimpses of his own terror and triumph caught between tendrils. They wrap tighter, pulling him toward a familiar place but warping it into something grotesque. The boundaries of his mind become porous, thoughts of safety slip away, lost in the whisper of the labyrinth, their familiarity twisted. Ulnathra feeds on this disarray, consuming his memories with an insatiable appetite as he feels threads of himself fading, each a sacrificial offering. Relek tries to reclaim his thoughts, to anchor himself against the tidal wave of essence being stripped away, but the pull is relentless. Shadows flicker at the periphery, writhing against the growing intensity of the exchange. He is cast adrift in a sea of knowledge. Beneath it, the weight of the labyrinth presses down, a reminder that he is but a visitor in this monstrous domain, a conduit for recollections traded like currency. A raw gasp escapes his throat, a desperate plea that reverberates against the chamber walls. In that moment of weakness, Ulnathra thrums, amplifying the chaos surrounding him, as shadows surge forward, stretching their tendrils in eager pursuit of more. The energy shifts palpably, a tremor that draws Relek deeper into the heart of memory. Cascading images turning darker, hallways shifting and transforming, every moment leaking into the other. Amidst the fading echoes of who he is, Ulnathra lets out a cacophony of soundless whispers. Each vibration is heavy with gravity, a weight that pulls at his very core, inviting him into a realm where he may lose more than he can bear. The air thickens with foreboding as the structure pulses, the entire cavern alive with expectations yet unseen. Tension teeters on the precipice of chaos as his visions clash and crumble, relentless and irrevocable. In the depths of this madness, he finally wrests his focus away from the whirlpool of loss. The tendrils brushing against him carry a different resonance, urging him towards something vital yet obscured. "Please," he cries out, desperation coating his words, an entreaty not just for mercy but clarity amid the storm of fading memories. What remains after the memories slip free? What truth will surface as the essence of him feeds the vast monstrous collective? As Ulnathra hesitates, there's a moment, a heartbeat stretched to eternity where time collapses, where understanding passes between them like lightning. In that fleeting connection, Relek feels Ulnathra's hunger tempered by an uncharacteristic pause, a spark of sentience grasping something ineffable. The labyrinth vibrates at this intersection, sensing the myriad stories unraveling, drawing lines of connection across worlds both known and unknowable. He gasps as he is unmoored, leaving behind lingering echoes as the crude map slides into focus on the stone beneath him, pulsating with the throb of the fungal body. The whispered knowledge contracts as threads pulled taut reel in with urgency, straining against an inevitable release that threatens to drown him. As the fragments blur and meld, Relek steps forward, tentative yet resolute, hands trembling upon the cool surface of the pulsating stone, every ounce of uncertainty entwined with a flicker of understanding. He fights to reclaim his grounding, shrouded in uncertainty yet alive to possibilities beyond comprehension. The shadows reel back momentarily, giving way to the vision he glimpsed before, a glimmer of the path he seeks, the path intertwined with echoes of despair and hope in the tapestry of the labyrinth's existence. Yet as he turns back to face the spiraling void of Ulnathra's essence, a shiver runs down his spine, a warning and a challenge, a reminder that the darkness he navigates is more than mere labyrinthine corridors. It is a journey into the heart of what it means to confront the very fabric of existence itself, to weave through the nightmare and emerge with the truth that lies beyond. Chapter 5: The Hive-mind's Gambit. In the darkened alleys of Vyr'kathul, Relek strides with an eerie grace, his claws scraping against rusted iron and crumbling concrete, echoing like whispers of forgotten prayers. Shadows cling to the warped structures around him, a cacophony of decay that cloys at the senses. The air hangs heavy, pregnant with anticipation, as if even the very walls are aware of the grotesque gathering ahead. Here, beneath the moldering archways, dread weaves a shroud over reality, and beneath his alien exterior, a solemn resolve simmers, waiting to burst forth against the encroaching chaos. He halts, transfixed by the sight before him, a group of figures in tattered robes and bone-adorned masks, their bodies twisting in grotesque mockery of humanity. Their forms ebb and flow, limbs elongating and merging, eyes and jagged teeth becoming a singular undulating mass that evokes both fear and fascination. A single figure raises a blood-stained hand, the air quivering with their powerful voice. Let the humans drown in the true dark. The declaration lingers, a chilling invitation to oblivion. As their chants grow louder, punctuated by the sound of bodies shifting, Relek's own claws scrape against the cracked stone floor. The cacophony of guttural invocations wraps around him, prickling the back of his neck with an unsettling urgency. Nearby, broken signage tells stories of lives once lived, now splattered with quicksilver blood that gleams beneath the dim, flickering light. Each sound resonates within him, a stark reminder of the struggle that blurs the line between his world and theirs. Fingers tighten around his tentacled arm, a living appendage that curls and shifts with his anxiety. He has walked these alleys, felt the pulse of decay that runs deeper than skin. The cultists seem to draw energy from the ground itself, a madness brewing in the shadows of Vyr'kathul, daring anyone to challenge their dominion. Yet amidst the frenzy he clings to a thought: the traditions of his people must endure. He will not allow this encroaching darkness to swallow them whole. Relek's heart thunders, matching the frantic rhythm of their chants. They contort and sway. The palpable hunger for the powers they worship rouses a defensive instinct deep within him. His stance becomes resolute, the crystalline growths adorning his skin refracting the dim light around him, forming a glimmer of alien beauty amidst the chaos. Each scraped claw becomes a reminder of the price of conflict, a reminder of ancient battles etched in the annals of their shared history. Suddenly, the air shifts. An energy ignites around them as the chanting escalates, laced with a frenzied ecstasy. The cult leader's voice rises, imbued with the fervor of devotion but laced with madness. Relek feels it in his bones, the pull of the outer dark, a siren call that seeks to engulf all reason. But he stands firm, defiance radiating from his very essence. With an unhurried intensity, he meets their wild eyes, locked in a silent exchange charged with purpose. Words rush from his mouth, clipped and clear. Your thirst for darkness will not consume my people. The stark contrast of his resolve shakes the tendrils of despair trying to weave around him. Your people are nothing but echoes in a world bound for silence, the cult leader retorts, her voice echoing, harmonics weaving through the tension. There's a shimmer of certainty in her tone, a promise of doom. But Relek draws a deep breath, churning the energy inside him into something formidable. Your shadows will not veil the truth. With that declaration, he pulls his power around him like a cloak, the air shimmering with the charged anticipation of impending conflict. The chant crescendos, enveloping them in a sinister embrace as they begin to encroach upon him. Their movements shift from chaotic to coordinated. Monstrous amalgamations of limbs intertwine, whispering secrets that weave through the void, aiming to rend reality itself. A hot rush of adrenaline floods through him as he considers the violent beauty of his own power rising in tandem, ready to confront the malice weaving through this grotesque display. All at once, the ground trembles beneath them, a reminder of the ancient entities lying dormant just beneath the surface of their war-torn enclave. The shadows retreat momentarily, revealing the contours of broken dreams, splintered hopes. Relek can feel the specters of his lineage whispering through the ages, grounding him amidst the chaos as the cultists rally around their leader, eyes glimmering with the promise of obliteration. And then it happens. A shockwave of energy pulses outward from their huddle, darkening the very essence of their surroundings. Release Yh'gathul, the cult leader howls, a siren's call to unravel all. The sheer weight of her voice becomes palpable, a taunting echo of destruction laced with promises of power. Relek feels the chaos resonate within him, challenging him at every turn. He prepares to counter their encroachment, limbs shifting with calculated precision as he conjures a vision of defiance, a glimmer of hope against the expanding void. With each heartbeat, he knows he stands on the precipice of a cataclysmic clash between duty and obliteration, and he will not falter. In the heart of Vyr'kathul, beneath a leaking archway stained with the residue of ancient anguish, Relek stands in the crumbling courtyard, flickering light casting grotesque shadows around him. The air hums with tension, thick with a potent mix of decay and foreboding, whispering of the pact made long ago, when their lineage intertwined with horrors best left dormant. Yh'gathul looms before him, a twisted silhouette poised to unravel secrets, their presence a striking reminder of the fate that draws ever closer. Under the fractured ceiling, strands of amber light cascade over Yh'gathul's grotesquely contorted frame, highlighting the surging shadows that weave around him like ravenous serpents. There is an unnatural fluidity in his movements, an echo of ancient power twisted beyond recognition. Release Yh'gathul, and our blood shall seal our fate, Yh'gathul intones, his voice resonating with the weight of the past and the seductive call of forgotten power. Relek steps forward, his clawed appendages poised to engage with gravity-defying elegance. Each step sends ripples through the hushed assembly, the air crackling with electric anticipation. The true sacrifice lies not in blood, but in the wisdom to resist the dark, he counters, his voice a calm, measured retort against the fevered urgency around them. The courtyard seems to absorb his words, echoes swelling as followers cling to the tendrils of reverence and doubt that cling to their hearts. Yh'gathul tilts his head, a subtle mockery that reflects not just disdain, but a deep-seated ambition entwined with his own cursed lineage. Wisdom is but an echo, Relek. You speak as if fear can bind the tides of madness. We are at the precipice of our rebirth. His voice morphs, multi-toned harmonics resonating from the depths of ancient knowledge, pulling the audience closer into his thrall. Amidst the flickering shadows, murmurs rise and fall, a wave of uncertainty breaking against the stones as the followers shift restlessly. Some clutch at their vestments, the designs woven in forbidden symbols pulling taut with the pulsing fervor of Yh'gathul's oratory. A scent of iron and decay pervades, weighing upon them like a somber cloak. The entanglement between the two figures thickens, charged with a sense of desperation. Relek steps forward, resolute against the tide of hopelessness. There will be no rebirth through relinquishing our integrity. To embrace such power is to embrace destruction. His words resonate through the courtyard, drawing breath from the air as the crowd falls silent, caught between worship and a primal instinct for survival. Yh'gathul's expression darkens, a storm brewing behind his eyes that beckons darkness to consume the light. You cling to tradition, like a drowning man clings to the last vestiges of air. You risk all for a shadow of truth. He gestures grandly to the assembly around them, the followers aflame with their desperation. But in the shadow, our true essence is lost. Relek replies, his voice unwavering yet heavy with the cost of conviction. A whisper of dissent flutters through the gathered throng, the once fervent chanting faltering under the weight of choice. Yh'gathul's face twists, melding anguish with derision. The cosmos offers an escape, yet you would rather remain fettered by the chains of caution. Look around you, we are not merely seeking power, we are claiming destiny. Each word bursts forth in a litany of fervent entreaty, an invitation to plunge deeper into the unknown. Outside the hallowed grounds of their confrontation, echoes pulse through the darkened enclave, reminders of lives long submerged. The unease unravels as Relek clenches his fists, poised to unleash a truth that could shatter the illusions surrounding them. I will not be complicit in your thirst for oblivion. Relek's voice crackles, heavy with anguish as his body unfurls, crystallized growths sparkling ominously. Yh'gathul demands sacrifice, but I refuse to offer myself or my people on the altar of cosmic madness. Sudden silence descends, a pregnant pause that reverberates against the stone, the gravitational pull of their confrontation looming over them like an inescapable tide. Yh'gathul regards him with the intensity of an ancient predator, eyes narrowing in thoughtful malice. "Then perhaps we shall see just how firm your resolve truly is," he whispers, the harmonic depths of his voice drawing in whispers from the assembled crowd. The tension rises, coiling like the very shadows around them, taut with energy that vibrates against the air, filling every hollow space with apprehension. In that moment, beneath the echo of ancient choices, both figures remain stalwart, poised on the precipice of an abyss that promises both transcendence and doom, as Vyr'kathul watches, unyielding, as fate unravels in the darkness. Chapter 6: Unveiling the Bargain. Dust swirls in the narrow shaft of light, as Relek slips through the rusting entryway, the weight of ancient stone and cracked bone shifting underfoot. Each step sends ripples through the stillness, stirring echoes of forgotten whispers as his sharp claws scrape against the engraved basalt. The chamber opens before him, a world suspended in the slow drip of time, where dark ichor seeps from the walls like the remnants of a dying dream. The air is heavy, dense with an oppressive silence that clings to him, wrapping him in the memories of long-forgotten rituals. Thick rivulets of black ichor coil down the chamber walls, pooling beneath grotesque carvings, each sigil a testament to the powers that once roamed the realms beyond. Shadows flicker like the remnants of flame against the ancient stone, hinting at the lurking presence of something unseen. As he steps further in, he senses the hum of long-abandoned machinery, vibrating in harmony with the incessant chittering of the insect familiars that dart along the ceiling. He moves with precision, every clawed footfall echoing against the cold surfaces, the scraping sound drowning in the swirling cacophony of clicks and skitters overhead. The elders spoke of this place in hushed tones, warning of its ancient wisdom and the unspeakable costs it demanded. Still, the allure is undeniable. The very atmosphere crackles with energy, drawing him deeper into the sanctum's embrace. Relek's gaze shifts, catching sight of intricate carvings that crawl up the walls, depicting stories he has only known in dreams, a testament to the union of Yithian and human, of blood bound to the sacred. A fleeting chill skitters along his spine, a subtle reminder of the sacrifices made here, the delicate balance between survival and corruption. As he presses on, the sharp edges of his form shift beneath his skin, a reminder of his heritage, mutating to meet the needs of this alien space. Pausing at a stone archway, he casts a glance over his shoulder, uncertainty coiling in his gut like a festering wound. There is no turning back. This path holds secrets that stretch beyond time, and the weight of their consequences presses down on him like a stone slab. He can almost hear the soft whispers of the elders warning him, a cacophony of cautious tones intertwined with the insect buzz surrounding him. With each pulse of the ichor-ridden chamber, he senses the profound strangeness of the air thickening, binding him to this haunting tableau of horror and discovery. It takes a moment for him to breathe, each inhale steeped in dread. Still, resolve anchors him. Knowledge is both weapon and shield. Clutching tightly to the thoughts of his people, he steps through the archway, crossing the threshold into darkness that promises both enlightenment and despair. The chamber yawns before him, an expanse shrouded in shadow where stone and despair intermingle. At its center, an ornate pedestal rises from the ground, cradling a pulsating orb that thrums with an energy almost sentient, its dark runes weaving a tale that beckons from beyond the veil of reality. As Relek steps forward, the heartbeat of the orb synchronizes with the quickening pulse in his veins, a connection that resonates deep within him, resonating as if the very air is saturated with his ancestors' whispered urgencies. He stands before the orb, transfixed. Dark and twisting runes flicker across its surface, illuminating the depths of his yearning with each throbbing pulse. It sways gently on the pedestal, its presence demanding reverence, a sacred and malevolent artifact tethered to ancient powers. This orb is more than a mere relic. It is a heart, beating in time with the very fabric of Vyr'kathul's history, echoing tales of fates intertwined, lives lost and claimed in eternal struggle. Relek's attention shifts to the inscriptions chiseling through the stone around him, where etchings depict beings in perpetual union with a faceless entity. Each symbol a thread of fate woven with chilling precision, revealing the binding pact that forever alters those who enter this realm. His claws trace one of the inscriptions, a jagged etching that tells of promises forged in desperation and blood, a glint of realization igniting a flame within him. In an act of reverence, his claw drags deliberately along the surface of the stone, a line of quicksilver blood following in his wake. Pain blossoms as the edge tears flesh, a searing reminder of the price he must pay. Instantly, the orb pulses in recognition, responding to the offering of his essence. Its dark glow intensifies, a ravenous hunger awakened as the chamber responds to his sacrifice. A disembodied voice fills the space, reverberating through the stones and infiltrating his very thoughts. The pact is sealed. Your blood was chosen. The mechanical clarity echoes unnervingly in the stillness, bathing Relek in a wave of impending dread. The orb pulsates with renewed vigor, aligning its heartbeat to the rhythm of his quickening breath. This chamber knows of his resolve, recognizes the weight of his lineage. His pulse quickens, terror coiling within him like an electric charge. The weight of destiny hangs palpably in the air, each word hearkening to the sacrifices of his ancestors, resonating with ancient pain and insatiable yearning for knowledge. The truth slams into him with a force that rattles his very core. This is a juncture where he can either cling to the essence of his humanity or allow it to be consumed. The resonance of the voice sinks deeper, echoing with both clarity and ominous portent as it bathes him in the weight of ages. With each pulse from the orb, he feels the potential of greatness and ruin wrapped into one. He retreats slightly, not from fear, but from an innate awareness of the labyrinthine implications his action entails. Every blood-soaked promise carries a history that transcends time itself. He can hear the insects skittering in frantic bursts above, their movements synchronized with the tumult within him. The chamber hums, reverberating the echo of their ceaseless buzz as the orb's heartbeat merges with his own. The very walls seem to pulse in anticipation, urging him to take the plunge, to surrender himself fully to the depths of cosmic knowledge laid bare before him. With one final, lingering gaze at the pulsating orb and the darkening sigils around it, Relek takes a deep breath, preparing to face the consequences of this fateful interaction. Time freezes, the weight of existence draping over him like a shroud, as he stands on the precipice of a decision that might alter everything he holds dear. The boundary between choice and destiny blurs. This is where his journey towards revelation begins, marked with blood and an unwavering quest for truth. With a sudden jolt, the chamber convulses. The orb's pulsations quicken, causing the thick ichor to race down the walls in frantic, unrestrained streams. Relek stumbles back, heart thundering against the confines of his chest, as the air thickens with an almost tangible dread, swirling around him like a sentient entity. The carved symbols pulsate, their intricate designs appearing alive, writhing as though they breathe in response to the blood's offering. Panic spikes through him, a fierce clarity slicing through the haze of fear. The ancient sigils, once static and mute, now hum with a frenzied energy, a visual cacophony that demands attention. He catches glimpses of the twisted fates illustrated within, a binding contract that now tightens around him, a vice forged in the sins of countless Yithian souls. It feels as though the chamber itself is awakened, the echoes of a million whispered promises converging upon him with sharpened claws. The insect familiars scatter above, their coordinated clicks breaking into discordant clatter, as if sensing the upheaval of the very foundations that surround them. Their frantic movement mirrors the disarray swirling within his thoughts, a reflection of the chaos rapidly unfurling as he edges further from the pedestal. Relek's claws dig into the stone, leaving behind deep, ragged lines, tendrils of black ichor spilling into the grooves, painting a grim trail in his wake. Every instinct screams for him to flee, and yet he hesitates, a weighty chain anchoring him to this revelation of power and risk. As the ichor cascades faster now, threading through the symbols inscribed on the walls, he realizes that every inch of the room is now infused with his choice, a sentient narrative unfolding at the junction of blood and ancient ties. The chamber roars to life, reverberating with whispers of despair that tighten around him. Gasping for breath, Relek pushes against the surge of panic, refusing to surrender. There is knowledge to be gained, truths etched deep within the chaos, if only he can survive. Clawing his way back, he finds himself feeling the weight of both his legacy and his destiny upon him. The darkness in the room beckons, wailing softly, as if mourning his inevitable departure. But he cannot dwell, survival calls. Pulsations echo in his ears, in time with the ever-accelerating heartbeat of the orb. The tension is almost palpable. The intricate symbols he once revered now serve as a prison of his own making. The moment of revelation is slipping through his fingers like fine sand. He must break free. He takes one last look at the pulsating orb, a monument to the choices now binding him, and propels himself backward. As he retreats, every sensation heightens, the air crackling with energy. His claws scrape against the stone, the sound grating, an audio tapestry of impending doom. Fragments of stone break loose, crashing to the ground with a deafening impact that stifles the hum of the machinery for a breathless second. Relek barrels toward the exit, moving faster than he thought possible, adrenaline surging through his veins. The chamber roars with indignation, the walls slick with ichor and shadows, whispers spinning together into a symphony of despair and foreboding, as if mourning his flight. He senses a pulse beneath him, a tremor in the earth, a warning that he is not alone, that the chamber reacts not just to his departure but to the weight of choices made in darkness. As he bursts through the threshold, the vivid scene behind him bleeds into chaos, his silhouette flickers against the backdrop of horror. The moment stretches, filled with a precarious balance of dread and determination. What lies beyond that threshold? With every breath pulling him closer to the safety of the known, he understands that the echo of his choice, the pact made in this chamber, will reverberate through the annals of time. Outside lies a world shrouded in the remnants of ancient legacies, but in here, before him, the shadows whisper their secrets, a warning against ignorance, a siren song that beckons him to return. The price of his thirst for knowledge has only begun to unfurl, its tentacles already curling around the core of his fate. Chapter 7. The Bridge Builder's Gamble. Relek bursts through the heavy metal door, claws scraping against the rusted floor tiles, an echo of ancient menace in each step. His presence fills the cluttered workshop, where flickering monitors struggle to maintain their grip on stability amid a sea of tangled cables and dust-coated glass cases holding relics of the Yithian past. He locks his gaze onto Dr. Marina Chen, who hunches over her latest contraption, a hybrid apparatus of circuit boards interwoven with rune-etched stones, unaware of the weight pressing against the air, a tension that crackles with unspoken urgency. "Marina, we need to start now," he declares, voice layered with echoes of countless generations resonating with the unsettling harmonics of Yithian speech. The urgency coiling within his words draws her attention, and she sets down a tool with a sharp clack that reverberates in the small space, the sound swallowing the ambient hum of machinery. Her hands move with practiced precision, adjusting a sensor that pulses with irregular light, reflecting the volatile energy surrounding them. She glances at him, those sharp, analytical eyes narrowing with a flicker of concern. "I'm almost ready. Just need to stabilize the signal." Her tone is steady, infused with a determination that mirrors Relek's, yet beneath her calm, an electric pulse of apprehension simmers. As she connects the last wire, the flickering lights around her seem to intensify, mirroring the tension stretching thin between them. Relek shifts on his feet, his left arm twitching as crystalline growths pulse along his skin like living patterns in a tempest. The chaos of his body contrasts sharply with Marina's methodical focus. Each crystalline protrusion, a testament to his heritage, draws her eye momentarily before she forces herself to return to the task at hand. Hold still, Relek. The device is sinking now. Her voice is clipped, sharper than the edge of his claws, cutting through the rising tension. With a flick of her wrist, she flips a switch, unleashing a cascade of electrical surges across the artifact. The monitors flare, illuminating the shadows that linger like uninvited phantoms on the exposed concrete walls. We're not just pulling information, we're channeling it, she reminds him, voice imbued with a blend of reverence and scientific fascination. But Relek's body responds to the surge with an almost violent enthusiasm. He flexes his muscles, struggling to resist the frantic alteration of his form. Limbs twist, adapt. One moment he possesses an alien grace, the next, the sinewy tendrils of tentacles spring forth, curling and recoiling as if each pulse is a response to the frantic vibrations emanating from the device. The atmosphere warps, distorting their surroundings in the wake of overwhelming energy. "Marina," he growls, a mix of desperation and authority as his skin splits and reforms. "Aye." But the words dissolve into a cry, swallowed by the maelstrom of electrical energy erupting from the apparatus. "I'm recalibrating the device now," Marina shouts over the surge, her eyes darting between the chaotic display of readings and Relek's shifting, morphing limbs. The air crackles with tension, metal panels vibrate ominously, and the lab is a thrum of unsteady power, a breeding ground for catastrophe. Sparks leap from loose cables, and a shower of electric discharges fills the space with crackling acrid smoke, swirling around them in wild spirals. Her fingers dance over buttons and gauges, but the results grow erratic. Monitors flash with incoherent data as the machinery fights against the impending collapse. "Focus. Just breathe," she urges, but the chaos twists reality, time dilating as if the entire universe holds its breath in anticipation of their next misstep. In the midst of this turmoil, Relek staggers back, the light shifting around him, revealing the alien angles of his form, a striking and grotesque figure teetering on the edge of becoming something else entirely. Marina's heart races. She can feel the magnitude of their gamble surging through her veins. This fusion of human and Yithian technology, both ancient and modern, threatens to unravel the very fabric of what they thought possible. The pulse quickens. The experiment has begun, but its outcome hangs like a blade suspended above them. As the equipment trembles under the strain, time stretches thin, with only the ragged rhythm of their breathing binding them to reality, and the future wavers uncertain. Marina's fingers dance with deftness along the wires, connecting them in an intricate sequence that requires her utmost attention. The hybrid apparatus hums beneath her touch, the low vibrations echoing through the cramped lab, a world of technology at the fringe of alien influence. Her hands bear the marks of her labor, tiny scratches from sharp edges mingling with the sweat of concentration. Each connection resonates with the weight of impending knowledge, a portal poised between their two worlds, between human resolve and the eldritch unknown. "Just a few more," she murmurs to herself, the rhythm of her breathing steady despite the chaos unfolding around her. The persistent hum of machinery grows louder, and her focus sharpens on the sleek human device nestled beside the rune-etched Relek. The wires snake between them, like tendrils reaching out for the promises of the unknown. Nearby, Relek stands with tension coiling in every fiber of his being. His left arm is a writhing mass, crystalline growths pulsating rhythmically, mirroring the surge of energy emanating from the device. "Marina," he intones, his voice threading through the lab like the undulation of ancient currents. "The energy." "I know," she snaps, but there's no malice in her tone. She moves with confidence, drawing on her scientific mind to tame the chaotic intertwining of human and Yithian elements. Just hold still, Relek. It's sinking. He grits his teeth, aware of the tension building within him, feeling the energy radiate, mingling with his very essence. I'm trying, he manages, crystalline filaments shifting unnaturally as the electric pulse continues to affect his transformation. Focus. The connection is crucial. We need stability. Her hands tremble slightly as she connects another wire, the delicate mechanism teetering on the precipice of catastrophe. The energy flares, a surge of power that cracks through the lab with the violence of a lightning bolt. As she snaps the final connection into place, an unbidden chaos bursts forth. The device flickers wildly. The monitors explode in a cacophony of sparks, showering the two figures in brilliance amid darkness. Shadows dance erratically across the walls, unsettling images carved into their surfaces as the room becomes a tempest of blinding light. No, no, no. Marina cries, frantically adjusting gauges, her heartbeat hammering as alarms blare, demanding attention and warning of impending doom. The apparatus trembles, a beast awakening from a long slumber, its energy surging beyond their control. The air thickens with raw power, vibrating in a pulse that resonates deep within her bones. Relek's body contorts, the crystalline growths erupting into full bloom, sending shards slicing through the air. I can't. He tries to grasp onto reality, but his arm shifts, mutating with an alien beauty that transcends the limits of understanding. Tentacles emerge, coiling and writhing, his screams mingling with the cacophony around them. Relek. Marina shouts over the storm, urgency radiating from her as she shifts her gaze from the control panel to the twisting mass of flesh and crystal that is her companion. We need to contain it. His voice, once layered with echoes of wisdom, is now a chaotic blend of anguish and ecstasy. The boundaries are fraying. I can see, he gasps, eyes wide with the enormity of the vision unfolding before him. Dimensions overlapping. And in that moment, the universe splits. A rift yawns open in the very fabric of their lab, the portal swirling with iridescent energy and shadows stretching toward a nightmare born of chaos. Marina, eyes wide, feels time collapse, the culmination of their work spiraling out of control. The experiment had promised knowledge, but now it threatens to consume them both, an unplanned plunge into the abyss. In the midst of this storm, she knows the weight of their choices hangs heavy, and the cost of discovery may lead them down an irrevocable path into madness. The rift opens wide, tearing the very fabric of reality in the lab. Sensory overload ensues. The taste of metal sharpens on their tongues, while the scent of ozone crackles in the air, stinging their eyes. Dimensional energies clash, creating an ethereal tapestry woven with brilliance and madness, reverberating through the cramped workshop. Time fractures, twisting moments into endless loops, and Relek's transformation reaches an exquisite, horrifying crescendo as he teeters on the brink of something unfathomable. No. Marina screams, voice lost in the dissonance, yet her determination surges like a lifeline through the chaos. She can see the flickering energy, a ribbon of pure potential snaking through the air, teasing the boundaries of understanding. Relek, stay with me. His form shifts violently, limbs contorting, as the crystalline growths erupt into a tapestry of fluid motion, tentacles writhing in arcs of alien beauty. Marina, it's pulling me apart, he gasps, face taut with the effort to maintain coherence against the onslaught of transformation. Panic sharpens the lines of his features, an elegance in chaos that dazzles and terrifies, revealing the struggle of his essence amid the symphony of swirling energy. Focus. We can contain this. Her hands move, as if orchestrating the energies around her, fingers brushing across controls with precision, as she searches for a way to stabilize the device amid the maelstrom. The monitors erupt in a cacophony of alarms, blinking frantic lights that illuminate the darkening room, casting elongated shadows that flit across the walls like specters. Relek howls, each cry resonating with the weight of alien tones blending into a harrowing harmony. As the rift widens, glimpses of other realities seep through, dim, twisted reflections of their own world invaded by horrid shapes and impossible angles. Shadows flicker, creatures twisting through dimensions that exist just outside their understanding, howling voices whispering madness on the air. Marina. His voice cuts through her concentration, shaking the fabric of her focus. We can't hold it much longer. Just a little more, she insists, eyes darting between the rift and the device, realizing she needs to redirect the energy before it consumes them. The wild storm of energy crackles with ferocity, reverberating through the very structure of their being, as the apparatus shudders violently, threatening to give way to chaos. In that heart-stopping moment, Relek grapples with the whirlwind of emotions, his identity fracturing beneath the strain of transformation. The visions flooding his mind war with the shadows of his past, memories cascading through the dimensions reaching for something unattainable. He catches glimpses of his people, the strength of his lineage, yet the chaos threatens to dissolve it all. Embrace it, Relek, she calls, her voice steady despite the encroaching despair. Don't resist. You have to let it happen. A glimmer of understanding ignites in his eyes. He takes a breath, a mixture of fear and resolve weaving into his being. It's no longer just about fighting against the unknown. It's about integrating it, becoming something more. His limbs shimmer, enveloped in a surge of brilliance as he surrenders to the transformation, letting the tides of energy engulf him. Marina. I see it now. And as the rift trembles, raw energy colliding against his newfound awareness, the explosion of light and sound reaches a crescendo. Marina feels the device pulse beneath her fingers, an acceptance of their connection that thrums with energy. It stabilizes, if only for a heartbeat, allowing her the clarity to act. With one decisive motion, she presses the core stabilizing switch, and a shockwave radiates outward. The rift shrinks, its colors swirling, a tapestry of dimensions threatening to break apart in defiance. The air fills with a shattering howl, as energies collide, collapsing inward with the force of a cosmic tempest. Breath held tight, she watches as the rift closes, a breath of shadow left behind in its wake, like a ghost lingering at the edges of their consciousness. Light flickers before dimming, returning them to a quieter reality. Yet, as the energy settles, the essence of what they had witnessed lingers, a resonance that thrums like a heartbeat. In the aftermath, silence reigns, but it is laden with what they have now unleashed. Relek stands among remnants of his transformation, weary but grounded, the crystalline growths that adorned him now muted but unmistakably alive, a reminder of their journey, and the unknown they must still confront. Marina exhales, chest heaving, filled with a fierce mixture of awe and dread as she meets Relek's gaze, an understanding etched in their shared silence. They are irrevocably changed, bound by knowledge and the promise of what lies beyond. But with that bond comes the weight of responsibility, the foreboding knowledge that their encounter with the Eldritch has only just begun. Chapter 8: Echoes of the Unbound. The corridor stretches, a tunnel of rusted metal panels whispering echoes of forgotten stories. Relek's claws scrape against the iron surface, the noise a steady companion to the rhythmic pulsing of the device in his grip. He senses the weight of expectation, both from the enclave's walls and the alien energy looming just beyond its boundary. The device is a fragile thing, yet it vibrates with power, a heart alive with secrets buried deep within its circuitry. His fingers dance over its controls, gliding across the polished dials, each twist and press an act of defiance against the encroaching darkness beyond the enclave. With a calculated sequence, he taps buttons in rapid succession. The device responds with a flurry of beeps, red and green lights flashing like fireflies caught in a whirlwind. The air thickens with tension, prickling against his skin, a prelude to the unknown waiting at the edge of Vyr'kathul. As the scanning beam pulses forth, it dances over the crumbling stone and twisted metal around him, glimmering in reflections that create momentary illusions of other places, other times. Each metallic scrape of his claws mirrors the device's growing urgency, the volume rising, a siren call beckoning him into uncertainty. "Keep steady," he mutters under his breath, the words tinged with an instinctual understanding that some truths are better left unexamined. The readings surge, abrupt and alarming, marking a transition from the known safety of the enclave to the treacherous unknown waiting in the world outside. It feels like the fabric of reality tautening, bracing against the wild magic and terrible forces that churn beyond the realm of his people's legends. Relek's gaze narrows as he leans closer to the screen, its intricate web of energy lines mapping out an intricate tapestry of disturbances, fractures in space and time. There, on the display, a distant point flickers, a rogue energy surge growing bolder and more chaotic. He swallows hard, sensing the weight of ancient responsibilities pressing down on his shoulders. With resolve igniting a flame in his chest, he steps forward, each calculated movement underscored by the sharp contrast of his alien form against the metal confines of the corridor. The sound of claws scraping against the cold surface fills the air, keeping time with the pulsing device. The enclave behind him fades, the tether to his people's history momentarily overshadowed by the looming threat that pulses just beyond their sheltering walls. The world outside awaits, hungry for an unveiling, a revelation that threatens the very fabric of what it means to be Yithian descended. And Relek stands at the precipice, ready to leap into the dark, uncharted expanse. Broken concrete and tumbled bricks litter Relek's path as he skirts around the debris, each step a reminder of decay's relentless grasp on the once great city. His keen eyes scan the distorted landscape ahead, where shadows flicker and the air quakes with unreal energy. He senses it, something stirring, an anomaly that demands attention beyond mere curiosity. The jagged gap looms before him, an invitation to peer into the heart of chaos. At its edge, the familiar world of rust and stone warps, bending like reflections in a rippling pond. The air shimmers, fracturing the landscape into phantoms of alien cities glimpsed through a veil of shifting geometry. Structures rise and collapse in dizzying permutations, challenging the very laws of physics with each pulse. Relek's heart thrums in response, a fierce companion to the unnerving soundscape. Each step forward sends tendrils of unease crawling along his spine. The solid pavement below him buckles, adapting to an unseen rhythm. His claws leave erratic scratches across the warped surface, etchings of his existence against a canvas that defies sanity. The device emits a steady beep, affirming the erratic energy swirling in this pocket of reality. With each passing moment, its readings climb, the tone intensifying as if warning of a great tumult to come. The signatures coalesce, coiling into a concentrated pulse that aligns with his growing awareness of the Chronophage Orb's imprint. The air thickens, pregnant with the gravity of power ready to burst forth, a force both magnificent and menacing. Sweat beads on his brow as he fights the urge to retreat, to return to the enclave's warmth and security. Yet something within him, the deep-rooted understanding of his Yithian lineage, urges him on. The energy he senses isn't just raw power. It's a culmination of experiences and truths that resonate with the core of who he is. Relek exhales slowly, gathering the fragments of fear into determination. He edges closer to the void, drawn by an invisible thread that pulses in time with his heart. With a final glance at the crumbling remains of his surroundings, he strides into the swirling haze of warped space, each step an embrace of the alien grace within his bones. As he enters, the world twists and reality unfurls in dizzying patterns that confound his senses. He sees glimmers of possibility ripple around him, visions of ancient encounters, forgotten rituals, and the haunting laughter of shadows whispering secrets that threaten to overwhelm his perception. He pushes through, a lone figure navigating a tide of the unfathomable. The warp expands and contracts around him, creating pathways lined with the echo of time itself, each flickering image reminding him of the choices made and those yet to be revealed. The scent of unfamiliar worlds washes over him, heavy with the metallic tang of lost histories. This place teeters on the edge of comprehension, a realm where existence bleeds into dreams, and Relek stands poised on the brink. In the depths of the vision, a large chamber emerges from the shadowed recesses of Relek's mind, vast and suffocating. At its center, an altar fashioned from exposed bone looms, draped in the shimmering veil of dripping void matter that casts the surroundings into a surreal nightmare. Shadows cling to the chamber's walls like sinister echoes, flickering candlelight dancing across surfaces marked by sacrifices and echoes of lost reverence. At the altar stands the high priestess, her figure a tempest of contradictions, tall, elegant, yet grotesque in the way her skin stretches and ripples, as if fighting against the insatiable hunger of the dark powers she has embraced. She lifts her arms in a slow, methodical motion, commanding the attention of something vast and inscrutable that lurks just beyond perception. Each gesture is deliberate, a beckoning to the cosmos that breathes life into the palpable tension swelling in the chamber. Relek watches, entranced and horrified, his claws trembling as he witnesses the transformation that unfolds. The soft glimmer of a nearby candlelight highlights her contorted form, casting waves of distorted light against the shifting contours of her face. It resembles melting wax, fluid and unsettling, a visage that feels like it belongs not to the realm of humanity, but something much older and far more alien. The device in his grip pulses with urgency, each surge of energy marking the intensity of the High Priestess's ritual. Beeps escalate in feverish frequency, resonating with the rising tide of the aura emanating from her embedded orb. The energy signature he has traced now surges within her, and realization washes over him with chilling clarity. This woman wields the potential to unleash chaos upon their world. A gust of wind sweeps through the chamber, unsettling the shadows as if laughter drifts from unseen corners. It carries a resonance that chills him to the bone, the sound an invitation to embrace horrors buried deep in collective memory. The mixture of awe and dread crystallizes in Relek's chest. He feels drawn to this moment, yet every instinct screams to turn away. The chamber vibrates with an electric pulse, and he sees tendrils forming around her, metallic living extensions of her will, coiling with a grace that belies their horrific origins. They grasp at the edges of the void, caressing the fabric of reality as though threading dreams into a tapestry of annihilation. She is a beacon of the outer dark, cloaked in chaos and promise, her true power thrumming like a heartbeat that reverberates through time itself. His breath hitches as he realizes the connection. The void has become her ally, feeding on ancient fears and desires that threaten to erode the delicate balance of their existence. The High Priestess embodies both creator and destroyer, her intentions entangled in a twisted embrace of ambition that surpasses mere understanding. Relek stands on the precipice of revelation, caught in the breathtaking horror that is her offering. As the altar pulses with energy, a sharp voice within him urges him forward, daring him to confront the unimaginable. He clenches his claws, drawing a shuddering breath, standing at the threshold of truth that reverberates across the expanse of worlds. The laugh of the void echoes, resonating through time and space as he steels himself against the unknown. The chamber, vast and suffocating, holds him captive, yet he is unwilling to be a mere observer. Each heartbeat resonates like a call to arms, pulling him into the enigmatic darkness as destiny looms just beyond the altar of bone. Chapter 9. Assault on the Living Cathedral. Relek bursts through the narrow, jagged gap in the wall, leading the group into the throbbing heart of the citadel. An expanse of slick, oozing flesh unfurls before him, the surface rippling in a nauseating rhythm that seems to echo the pulse of a hidden alien heart. His claws scrape against the monstrous membrane, the sound a visceral reminder of the grotesque reality before them. Around him, a few loyalists stagger forward, boots splashing in dark puddles of an unknown liquid that glimmers ominously. The air is thick with a foul, cloying scent. Mold and decay intermingle, an invitation to the senses that both repulses and intrigues. Relek's form shifts beneath the fabric of his skin, angles bending in alien ways as he adjusts to the unique pressures of this realm, his claws glistening with traces of viscous matter. The combat ahead pulses in time with the citadel's beat, a hypnotic and dread-filled symphony. At his side, Marina stands stoically, her gloved hand tapping at a compact scanner, each swift gesture punctuated by precise movements that demonstrate her focus. There, she points, her voice taut with urgency, directing attention to the visible seams snaking across the organic landscape. The scanner lights up, beeping in rhythmic harmony with the citadel's pulsations, like an organic heart thrumming its own twisted cadence. Her analytical mind sifts through the layers of meaning in their surroundings. To her, it's not just flesh, but a complex weave of alien architecture ripe with both danger and insight. The loyalists, heartened by their leader's presence, surge ahead. They navigate the undulating terrain with wild abandon, adrenaline fueling their charge into the gaping maw of uncertainty. Each crunch of broken bone beneath their feet echoes in the narrow passage, drowning in the deeper, pulsing melody of the citadel. Relek hears their shouts of determination mingling with the thick organic ambiance, every echo amplifying the intensity of their mission. Suddenly, the atmosphere thickens, dark and alive, like a watchful predator as they advance. The low hum of the citadel's interior seems to rise, pushing at the edges of their minds. Relek's claws bite into the flesh of the citadel, sending droplets of gooey liquid into the air where they splatter like tiny stars in an abhorrent sky. He continues to slash at the living surface, working not just against an enemy but with a form of understanding that tugs at the very fabric of his being. The pulsing growth reacts, thumbing rhythmically to the violence he inflicts, coiling in unnatural ways. "Keep moving," Marina shouts, her voice cutting through the oppressive weight of dread that clings to the air like fog. She studies the shifting form with a critical eye, a scientist in awe of the complexities at play. The possibilities race through her mind, even as she battles to maintain focus. Behind her, a loyalist calls out, his voice barely rising above the hum, revealing the urgency and anxiety that bubbles just beneath the surface of their bravado. Through the chaos, as flesh writhes and quivers under the clash of claws and fear, the citadel looms larger than life, an active participant in their fate. Each turn and twitch of its surface unfolds like a page from a dark tome, urging them onward while simultaneously warning of the unthinkable horrors yet to come. The loyalists clamber forward, driven by fear and determination, refusing to yield before the specter of doom that festers ahead. The moment breaks, and the hybrid monstrosities lurch forth from the living walls, grotesque forms entwining human and insect in an abominable display of flesh and chitin. Their gaping mouths ripple open, revealing rows of jagged teeth, as void maggots slither from within, filling the air with a rotting stench that deepens the fear permeating the space. The loyalists stagger back, horror coursing through them, as the pulse of the citadel quickens, echoing the growing tension. Relek lunges forward, the sharp edges of his claws slicing through the air. His movements are a blur, unpredictable, angular, as he leaps into close combat, contorting to evade the flailing limbs of the monstrosities. Each slash he delivers rips deep into their hybrid forms, chitin cracking beneath his relentless strikes, blood splattering like dark rain across the pulsating surface of the citadel. He embraces the alien energy coursing through his veins, his essence merging with the horror unfolding, providing a rhythm to his attack that feels both familiar and profoundly unsettling. Flank left. Target the joints. Marina's voice slices through the chaos, cutting cleanly amid the guttural screams and fleshy snaps. She stands her ground, arms steady as she fires a compact energy pulse, its burst illuminating the grotesque details of their enemies. The blue-white light sparks against the darkness, revealing the monstrous figures shuddering under the assault. Her academic demeanor sharpens into focused command, eyes darting to assess weaknesses, recognizing what others cannot. The Loyalists rally behind Relek's frenzied charge, weapons clashing and tearing at the grotesque limbs before them. A fervent desperation fuels their actions, and for a brief moment they move like a single organism, unyielding, driven. One Loyalist slips in the muck, stumbling forward and catching a jagged claw that pierces his abdomen. He gasps, eyes wide as he crumples, losing grip on his weapon as it clatters uselessly. Another Loyalist shouts in terror, yet the fear is eclipsed by the primal need to survive. Relek barely has time to glance back, as the monstrosities fight against him with unnatural strength. He dodges, narrowly evading a clawed appendage that slices through the air, aiming for his own vulnerability. His heart races, syncopated with the chaotic rhythm of the battle. The experience feels as alien as the creatures around him. Each strike he delivers is visceral, a communion with chaos that ignites every part of his being. Through the shifting waves of conflict, Marina directs with resolute urgency, drawing upon her understanding of combat tactics and Yithian lore. One by one, dismantle them. Focus on what they hide. Each word is a weapon itself, urging the Loyalists to see not just the horrors in front of them, but also the pathways to victory hidden within the chaos. Another Loyalist falls, the sickening crunch of bone heralding another lost life in this gruesome tapestry. The combat swirls around them, a living whirlpool of gore and fear, punctuated by the snapping of flesh, the clashes of metal, and the war cries that echo within the grotesque expanse of the citadel. Sound and smell overload the senses, building into a horrific symphony where every breath draws in dread and every heartbeat signifies life amidst the throes of death. The atmosphere thickens, choking out hope, suffocating ambition. A final howl of pain erupts as Relek tears through the chest of a monstrosity, its human features locked in an expression of eternal agony. His claws grip tight, ripping apart the alien exoskeleton, viscous fluid spilling forth to coat the already slick ground. For a moment, victory flickers before him. They can fight, they can win, but at what cost? Another wave crashes against them, and for a heartbeat, everything feels precariously poised on the edge of despair. Amid the relentless melee, the echoes of combat blur, and Loyalists stagger back, blood and oozing bioluminescent fluid streaking down their uniforms like a morbid decoration of sacrifice. A chilling realization washes over them. Survival hangs by a thread as one by one their comrades falter and fall under the weight of the monstrous assault. Fear courses through the group, pulsing like a heartbeat as they grapple with the horrific tableau around them. Dr. Marina Chen crouches low, her fingers dancing over the fissure in the citadel's surface as she attempts to isolate the energy signatures pulsating within. Each pulse sends vibrations through her body, resonating with both dread and possibility. "Focus fire there, now," she commands, her voice sharp against the backdrop of chaos. The Loyalists respond, turning their weapons toward the designated point, while she remains acutely aware of the chaotic dance of destruction surrounding her. Relek, engulfed in the tumult of combat, feels the changes within him. Each swing, each slice of his claws transforms him further, bones and muscles shifting beneath his skin in ways that defy comprehension. He dispatches another hybrid creature, but the weight of loss presses heavily upon him. Each loyalist that crumples to the ground fuels a deep, gnawing guilt in his chest, merging with the exhilaration of battle. His actions blur into a frenzied dance with horror, even as his heart grieves for their fallen comrades. In the midst of the chaos, a familiar loyalist, one who once shared laughter amidst their darker tasks, stumbles back, eyes wide with fear, clutching at a ruined shoulder. Relek. We're losing them. His voice falters as the despair around him becomes almost palpable. Relek's eyes narrow, tearing away from the grotesque remnants of the battle for just a moment, enough time to witness another life slipping away. The group fights forward, their boots slipping on the slick, living surface that resonates with the dying cries of those they have lost. Though mounting casualties plague their ranks, a rallying cry surges from within them, an unwillingness to yield against the tide of horror pressing inward. The loyalists, galvanizing in desperation, echo the resolve within their hearts, driven by camaraderie and an instinctual urge to survive. Through the pulsating chaos, a heavy silence suddenly blankets the air, a momentary pause as the fighting stalls, the only sound the relentless hum of the citadel. The atmosphere thickens with an eerie anticipation that seems to resonate in their very bones. Relek's senses heighten, the danger ahead sharp and distinct. Something stirs just beyond their line of sight, a shadow hovering on the edge of consciousness, an unseen threat that looms ever closer. And then, like a shadow from the void, the howl of an unseen enemy erupts, drowning out everything else, a guttural roar that echoes deep within the citadel's core, sending tremors through the floor and rattling the very soul of the enclave. With that final cry, the scene closes, heavy with despair yet tinged with a sliver of defiance, leaving the assault hanging precariously on a knife's edge. They stand at the brink, united by desperation, their fates intertwined as darkness gathers at the fringes, waiting to consume them whole. Chapter 10. The High Priestess Transformed. Relek and Dr. Marina Chen burst into the inner sanctum, a place where the very walls pulse with sickly life, shimmering under an unsettling glow. The floor, slick with something organic, shifts beneath their boots, ichor veins throbbing like a beating heart. Tendrils writhe in chaotic abandon, each curling gesture more grotesque than the last, forming a grotesque throne around the High Priestess, who stands at the center, transformed into a mass of twisted flesh and dark ambition. The air is thick, almost suffocating, resonating with a hum that seems to come from deep within the pulsating walls. Relek's sharp claws click against rusted iron, the sound sharp and dissonant, a reminder of the alien horror surrounding him. His eyes narrow as he takes in the sight, the High Priestess now a bloated hive-like mass, her visage reminiscent of melted wax, deformed yet eerily majestic. At her core, the Chronophage Orb pulses erratically, embedded in her chest, radiating waves of dark energy that dance across the living tissue. Beside him, Marina adjusts her device with steady determination, her mind racing as she considers their options. She studies the chaotic array of squirming tendrils, each one an extension of the High Priestess's will, and feels a shiver of dread mingle with the anticipation of confrontation. The slick floor beneath them glistens, illuminated by the eerie light of the orb, forming a grim path forward. "Steady yourself, Relek," she murmurs, voice laced with both caution and resolve. They are far from home, teetering on the precipice of unfathomable danger. We need to disrupt the orb's power before it's too late. His response is a silent nod, deep and contemplative. He feels the weight of ancient knowledge coursing through him, a whisper of duty mingling with the palpable horror surrounding them. Relek can feel his heartbeat quicken, not just with fear, but with the steadfast resolve to protect his people. The High Priestess's contorted body shifts, her movements fluid yet unnerving. An air of ancient authority hangs about her like an oppressive fog. You stand at the threshold, her voice resonates, a cacophony of overlapping whispers that cuts through the atmosphere. Do you dare oppose the merging? Your thoughts are of no consequence here. Tendrils curl around her, reaching outward as if testing the air, pulsating with an insidious hunger. Relek instinctively shifts forward, claws raised and poised, their gleam matching the sickly glow. He is not merely a guardian. He is a harbinger of what must be preserved against the darkness that has warped the High Priestess into this abomination. The sanctuary echoes with the pulsing glow, drowning out the whispers of his ancestors, but he cannot yield. Each step forward sinks deeper into the viscous floor, the taste of impending confrontation sharpening the senses. He shifts his weight and prepares to strike, eyes locked on the grotesque form of the High Priestess, recalling tales of power lost to madness. Are you prepared to become one with the outer dark? The words roll off her twisted tongue, laced with an otherworldly seduction, a siren call to despair. Join us and transcend beyond the limits of your fragile minds. As the last syllable escapes her, an instinctive clarity pierces Relek's thoughts, a memory from another time, another battle that solidifies his resolve. We are not yours to claim, he shouts, the declaration echoing defiantly against the pulsating chaos surrounding them. And as the sound fades, the space thickens, the air shimmers with threat as they brace for the storm to come. This grotesque merging must be stopped, lives depend on it. Relek's voice cuts through the cacophony as he shouts, "Stop this madness." The command reverberates, filled with resolve even as his claws scrape against the moist floor, sending a ripple of unease through the chamber. In response, the High Priestess contorts grotesquely, shadowy tendrils lashing violently outward, desperate to ensnare those who dare challenge her dark power. Her multiple voices merge into one chilling chorus, yield. Accept the merging. The air becomes taut with energy, and the tendrils whip forward like living shadows. Marina barely has time to react, as one of the flailing limbs swoops down, its slick texture glistening, leaving a trail of dark residue on the stone-like membrane covering the floor. She sways back, heart pounding, her mind racing, as the monstrous form lunges closer. "Relek, move," she warns, her voice sharp, guiding him in a delicate dance of danger. The High Priestess's twisted form, once a figure of authority, is now an amalgamation of horror, pulsing with alien energy. The urge to flee battles against their instinct to fight, a profound bond forged in the fires of knowledge and survival. Relek dodges, the tendrils mere inches from his sharp silhouette as he moves with practiced precision, slipping through the chaos with an alien grace that belies his form. The floor squelches beneath him, each step an echo of their primal struggle. He locks eyes with the High Priestess, sensing the manic delight reflected in her gaze, a twisted satisfaction in their defiance. Her response is swift. "You do not understand, child of the ancients," she taunts, her voice dropping to an eerie whisper, as tendrils coil toward him, shimmering under the glow of the Chronophage Orb. "You belong to the dark. Accept your fate." His heart races, pounding against the unnatural beat of the chamber as Relek counters with fury, claws raised and sharp. He lunges forward, every muscle taut, every instinct honed to strike. "We will never be your puppets," he roars, sending a tremor through the pulsating structure, shattering the illusion of power. As he slices through an encroaching tendril, it recoils, dissolving into a thick mist of ichor that dances through the air like mist on a summer's morning. The space around him shifts, alive with the tremors of conflict, creating a surreal ballet of attack and evasion. The High Priestess wails, her body twitching violently, responding to the blow, a creature teetering on the brink of collapse yet determined to assert its dominion. Amidst this visceral chaos, Marina adjusts her device, its strobing lights flickering against the flesh. "Aim for the orb," she shouts, clarity piercing the haze of frenetic energy. Her voice is both a rallying cry and a roadmap through the uncertainty. Each movement feels like a heartbeat, pulsing through the throbbing chaos of the chamber. Tendrils surge toward them, both beautiful and grotesque, a weaving pattern of predatory grace. One lashes out, grazing Relek's arm. He feels a burning sensation, a sharp bite that hints at the consequences of failure, but his resolve solidifies. He moves, dancing between limbs and energy, narrowly escaping another lash while sensing Marina's unwavering presence at his side. The High Priestess rises above them, a chaotic maelstrom of flesh and darkness, her chants climbing higher, resonating through the sanctuary. Her grotesque form pulsates in sync with the orb, each beat a reminder of their frailty, an echo of dread reaching deep into their souls. And still they press on, fueled by the hope of freedom from the dark and an unyielding desire to save their worlds from the horror of her twisted designs. The sanctum trembles, anticipation building as they prepare for their next moves, a fateful dance on the edge of annihilation. In a burst of action, Marina raises her handheld device, its strobing lights flickering against the pulsating flesh around them, while Relek lunges, slicing through an encroaching tendril with his sharpened claws. The High Priestess continues her multi-voiced incantations, her grotesque body twitching violently in response, each pulse of the Chronophage Orb warping the surrounding tissue into rippling waves of dark energy. The air crackles with tension as her chaotic form is illuminated with flashes of bright light, a pulsating symphony of danger resonating in their ears. Each tendril surges forward, darting like vipers seeking to strike. Relek's movements are a blur, precise and fierce, a cacophony of blades against the chaos of the High Priestess's ambition. Marina's device emits a whirring noise, harnessing energy like a tempest, a beacon amidst the consuming shadows. "Relek. Keep her distracted," she shouts, breathless urgency threading through her voice. His heart thunders as he responds, a primal instinct guiding him. With pleasure, he deflects a lash with a fierce swipe, sending the tendril recoiling, hissing as it splits and dissolves into the wretched floor beneath them. "Foolish child," the High Priestess shrieks, her voice echoing like shattered glass, vibrating the very walls of their hellish prison. "You cannot escape your destiny." With renewed fury, her body contorts and shifts, tentacles multiplying, drawing power from the pulsing orb as the chaos around them thickens with dark energy. Marina dodges another tendril, narrowly evading its grasp as it darts past her shoulder. She feels the air grow heavy, laden with potential destruction, every moment spiraling deeper into a nightmarish tide. "We have to reach the orb," she calls out, the command sharp in the frantic storm of action. Their eyes meet for an instant, a shared determination kindles between them, a flicker of hope forged in despair. Together they weave through the chaos, relics form a whirlwind of claws and purpose, Marina's device thrumming with escalating energy. Tendrils lash out from every angle, a tempest of darkness threatening to consume them whole. Relek manages to deflect another strike, using the momentum to propel himself toward the High Priestess. This ends now. He lunges forward, claws slicing through the air, intent on reaching her core. The world around them becomes a chaotic blur, each moment stretching as they teeter on the edge of oblivion. Just then, shadowy tendrils envelop him, wrapping around his limbs with a sickly caress, holding him captive. Panic flares, but Relek fights against the restraints, muscles straining, his will unwavering. "Fight it, Marina," he grits out through clenched teeth, feeling the tightening grip. "Aim for the heart. Don't worry. I've got you." Marina shouts back, resolute. She redirects her device, focusing the pulsing light at the base of the Chronophage Orb. The room quakes around them, resonance colliding with their pulse. "I'm coming," she screams, an echo of defiance mingling with dread. Marina channels the energy, directing it toward her target, her heart pounding in unison with the orb's pulses. Tendrils lash at her, an all-encompassing dread, but she doesn't waver. "For our worlds," she cries out, bringing her device into alignment. At that moment, Relek manages a final, powerful swipe, cleaving through the dark tendrils that bind him, propelled by the fierce spirit of defiance. As if spurred on by his freedom, he charges forward, matching Marina's resolve, both embodying the pulse of the confrontation. Together, they launch their assault, her device channeling its energy with raw, unrefined strength, their united determination striking against the orb. As the light surges, the sanctum reverberates, walls trembling with an echo of pain. Shadows stretch and twist, tendrils retreating in a frantic whirl. The power of the Chronophage Orb flickers uncertainly, as if grappling with the combined force of their desperate attack. With an earth-shattering impact, the device connects. Light engulfs the sanctum, expanding and bursting forth, ripping through the haze of darkness. Tendrils dissolve into the illumination, chaos shifting beneath its brilliance. A chorus of agonizing wails escapes the high priestess, the sound crashing like thunder within the depths of the sanctuary. Time stretches and fractures around them. In that heartbeat of illumination, Relek feels the warm resonance of triumph intermingle with a terrible grief, recognizing, as all things fall into disarray, that the bond they fought to preserve would linger amidst the ruin. The sanctuary breathes its last, succumbing to their resolve. The weight of the moment hangs in the air, foretelling what might arise from the aftermath of chaos and confrontation. Chapter 11. Yh'gathul's Gambit. In the heart of the sanctum, shadows writhe like sentient tendrils as Relek lunges forward, claws glinting under the sickly glow of the orb. The high priestess staggers, her body convulsing with each strike, a grotesque symphony of motion as serpentine forms spiral from her flesh. The stone walls vibrate violently, echoing their chaotic dance of destruction. A lingering dread saturates the air, the chill of unknown horrors twisting around Relek's ancient form as his sharp claws pierce the air. He closes the distance in a heartbeat, propelling himself across the flesh-coated ground, the warmth of ichor splattering against his hardened skin. Each stride is an act of defiance against the visceral reality of the high priestess's grotesque transformation. The pulses of the orb echo a dark rhythm, thrumming beneath layers of sinuous flesh that stretch over the twisted architecture of the sanctum. He strikes, his claws slicing through the air, aiming for the sinewed flesh that quivers in response. With every connection, the high priestess jolts, her features contorting in a chaotic symphony, the touch of alien power warping her already distorted visage. "Stand aside," he roars, the desperation evident in his voice reverberating against the ancient stones as he narrowly evades a lashing tendril of shadow that lashes out from her writhing limbs. A jagged scream of wrath escapes the high priestess, her arms erratically striking out, the ichor dripping down her fluid body like obsidian rain. He dances away, pivoting expertly on bone fragments littering the floor, each step deliberate, each movement calculated. He feels the echoes of his lineage coursing through his veins, fortifying his resolve, even as he witnesses the repulsion of her flesh sloughing off to reveal the serpentine horrors emerging from within. A sense of repulsion and determination wells within him as he delivers another swift slash, deeper this time, feeling the impact tremble through the stone beneath him. The momentary tremor sends another ripple through the chamber, intensifying the unnatural connection between her writhing form and the orb. Its pulse quickens, pulsing in unison with her heart, with each drop of black ichor staining the floor, flesh mingling with the debris of eons past. Her convulsions are a sight to behold, an aberration. Each throb of the orb seemed to govern the jagged movements, pushing her towards something unspeakable. With his senses heightened, he adapts, changing tactics mid-battle as he spins to avoid another crushing wave of dark energy. Relek can hear the breath of the sanctum, the heartbeat of the very bones that make up its walls, and it frightens him, this palpable intimacy. There is a bond formed not just between himself and the High Priestess, but between all their chaotic interactions, pulsating with violent energy. The space reverberates with each clash, each dynamic attack, as if the room itself is complicit in the dark art at play. Another strike rips through the air, the sound like wet cloth tearing, and Relek can feel a mixture of dread and exhilaration rise within him. He embodies ancient knowledge, a collector of wisdom that now flares with instinctual drive as he witnesses the metamorphosis take place before his very eyes. Tentacles lash out like storm-lashed ropes, seeking solace, aiming for him, yet failing to land a single blow. The darkness calls to him, laced with terror, but he perseveres. Blades of alien design thrust forth like daggers of revenge, slicing through the embrace of night. "Stand aside," echoes once more, a furious invocation layered with ancestral power, as he dodges another eruption of energy that sends cracks racing through the stone floor, feeding the hungry chaos swirling around them. The walls seem to breathe, contracting and expanding with an unbearable energy that thickens the air, as though feeding off their desperation. The sanctum writhes with anger, as tendrils of darkness conspire to catch Relek off guard, snapping like dry branches. He rolls, adapts, the erratic movements a perfect response to the panic-fueled rhythm of battle, evading blows that threaten to rend him apart. Her anguished scream rips through him, unearthing long-buried dread. Her transformation amplifies, a grotesque spectacle of spindly limbs unfurling as they reach outward, a profane ballet of flesh and horror. Yet there's a glimmer of triumph in his vision. Every strike lands true, though the success comes with the taste of ichor on his tongue, spurring him onward. He breathes in a volatile mix of fervor and repulsion. As each blow connects, each movement becomes an act of rebellion, the tentacles of despair clutching at his resolve. The air thickens, charged with an alien energy as black ichor spills freely, a testament to the carnage wrought between them. The violent beauty of their clash transforms the sanctum into a cathedral of cosmic horror. Shadows flicker and twist, weaving themselves into stories lost to the annals of time. With each violent encounter, Relek etches a tale of defiance against the twisted nature of the High Priestess. No longer does the orb pulse solely with malice, it transforms into a nexus of desperate fate, shaping the outcome of this infernal duel. The chaos roars louder, drowning out every doubt within him, as he becomes the vengeful harbinger of his people's reclamation. But the fight isn't over. His heart races, fueled by ancestral spirits that surge within him. Just as he readies another strike, the tendril lunges again, stretching with a predatory hunger for flesh, shadows snapping like dry branches towards the shadows of his resolve. He spins, eyes blazing with determination as he brings his claws down, seeking to reclaim what is his amid this vortex of violence. A guttural roar splinters the chaos as Yh'gathul storms into the bloodied sanctum. He is a towering figure, looming with an intimidating presence, claws extending like talons from a nightmare. The air crackles with telepathic static, charging the atmosphere with imminent dread as he pads forward, each step resonating like the beating heart of a primordial beast. Shredded remnants of the previous confrontation trail behind him, absorbed into his essence as he navigates the chaotic remnants left by Relek and the High Priestess. The moment he breaches the sanctum, a reverberating pulse ripples through the ground, distorting the reality around him as his elongated limbs move with a menacing elegance. His visage is a kaleidoscope of terror, a meld of unholy features and potent energy. The fabric of space seems to bend, acknowledging his monstrous authority. He fixes his luminous gaze upon the duo entwined in their battle, jaws parting in a ferocious growl that is simultaneously a promise and a threat. "Release the orb now." Yh'gathul's command shatters the lingering tension, a sonic weapon designed to unravel wills. His voice, rich with vibrations of otherworldly power, asserts dominion over the realm of mortals and the eldritch entwined therein. The shadows bend to his will as he lifts a massive arm, ripping through a section of the warped wall behind him. The sound of cracking stone echoes, a reminder of his vast strength, and behind him, the raw bleeding bone is exposed, an unsettling canvas marred by the remnants of unnatural architecture. Relek's heart races, a cocktail of awe and fear spiraling within him as he meets Chrydzal's penetrating gaze. Time distorts. The chaos around them freezes for a brief moment, their collective breath held in response to this new specter. The High Priestess jerks violently, an erratic marionette struggling against the strings of fate as her transformation writhes into a new state of horror. She's no longer merely a creature of malign intent, but a pawn caught between two greater forces, Relek, defined by ancestral duty, and Chrydzal, the embodiment of the void. "Fools," she spits, voice laced with venom, as tendrils pulse with energy, grappling in vain against her foe's presence. The instant dynamic changes. It's no longer just Relek against her, but Chrydzal's unyielding force against everything that has forged their reality. As if responding to the magnitude of his power, the walls ripple, shifting in a disarray that suggests an impending cataclysm, a cosmic joke etched in flesh and bone. Chrydzal pushes onward, relentless. He steps through the debris of former glory, each heavy footfall accentuating the warping of space around him. The remnants of Relek's earlier strikes vibrate in agreement, melding horror and majesty in equal measure. Darkness spills from the cracks and splits in the architecture like ink, drowning the faded colors of a world fading in the face of otherworldly authority. "Submit to me or suffer the consequences," he hisses, tension filling the air as his elongated claws flex, sharp enough to carve through dimensions themselves. The intensity mounts. The High Priestess seethes, glimmering with determination that belies her fragility against his looming strength. Shadows scream, a testament to the agonies thrumming between dimensions. Each breath is a battle cry that vibrates with the energy of an unsung tale, creating a bridge between their grim destinies. Chrydzal towers above the battlefield, a monolith of dark power, every inch exuding an eldritch force that surges through the very bones of the sanctum. Relek cannot help but notice how the space bends under Chrydzal's arrival, as if every inch of stone wants to retreat, to shelter itself from this tormentor of worlds. The sanity of the chamber disintegrates, splintering like wood under pressure. "Now is the time, High Priestess," Chrydzal taunts, his voice low and insidious. He moves with undeniable confidence, resolving to take the fight to both foes. Each step is deliberate, showcasing the power draped in his monstrous skin, leaving the remnants of uncertainty within the sanctum trembling. Let us witness the fragility of existence. In this swirl of chaos, two legacies stand at odds. Relek, once resolute in purpose, now finds himself struggling against the incomprehensible nature of this new opponent. Chrydzal weaves a narrative of horror and hope, the very fabric of their conflict taking on new, unfathomable meanings, as primal forces converge and threaten to engulf them all. The precipice of violence sharpens as they sense a shift, an impending fracture, like the thin skin of reality straining against the abyss. The sanctum quakes with the weight of unbridled energy, sending ripples through time and space as an epic shifts beneath them. And in the midst of the power clash, the sense of dread deepens, intertwining with the fragility of their grasp on life. A silent challenge hangs in the air, an unsung note promising devastation as they brace themselves against the coming storm. Amid the chaos, Dr. Marina Chen scrambles behind a collapsed column, the world around her unfurling into an eldritch nightmare. Her heart races, each thump resonating with the pounding violence of the battle, as her fingers fly over hastily assembled instruments, the shimmering conduits flashing erratically in protest against the turmoil that surrounds her. Dark ichor coats the ground like spilled ink, intermingling with the vibrant energies coursing through the air, a treacherous blend of destruction and discovery. Everywhere she looks, madness erupts. The sanctuary buckles, the twisted architecture groaning under the weight of clashing powers. She grips a handheld device pulsing with unstable energy, her eyes scanning the chaotic scene for any sign of success. "Hold the line. I'm stabilizing the corruption," she shouts, her voice barely piercing the frenzy, frantic but unwavering in the face of despair. As she adjusts the volatile components, sweat mingling with dirt stains her brow. Marina's mind races to keep pace with the madness. She thrusts her other hand into a mess of wires and cables, wrenching a loose piece into place, a small victory amidst the chaos. The device emits rapid pulses of flickering light, each pulse a beacon of her scientific determination against the encroaching darkness. The world spins, shadows claw at her with insatiable hunger, but she remains resolute, driven by the potential for knowledge even as her rational mind strains against the tide of horror. The cavern walls pulse and shudder, in a grotesque response to the cosmic confrontation taking place beyond her vision. The shrieks of the High Priestess blend with Yh'gathul's growls, creating a dissonant symphony that ignites an insatiable curiosity within Marina's breast. The air crackles with eldritch energies, and a jolt runs through her device. She realizes this corruption is more than just an entity, it intertwines with the very essence of the sanctum. Her hands steady as she calculates the fluctuations, scrambling to adjust her readings. "Come on," she murmurs, biting her lip in concentration, watching the gauge bounce erratically as the energy swirls, a grotesque dance demanding her full attention. Beneath the humming din of her tools, the creeping chaos of the sanctum feeds into her senses, swirling like a maelstrom of terror threatening to drown her spirit. Just as the shadows seek to engulf her, her analytical mind pierces through the panic, recognizing patterns amidst the disturbance. A sudden clarity grips her. This instability can be harnessed. Each surge from the orb, each twist of energy, is linked to their ongoing battle, a feedback loop she can manipulate. The glyphs inscribed along the walls resonate with her theories, sparking fragments of understanding that collide into focus. "The orb," she breathes, realization dawning in a rush of adrenaline. It must be severed from the High Priestess, but to do that. Before she can complete her thought, another violent shudder reverberates through the sanctum, knocking her off balance. Panic returns, heightening as she adjusts her grip on the device and thrusts it forward. Her heart races with the pulse of the gathering storm around her. The competing forces are thickening. Yh'gathul's roar of dominance overshadowed by the fury of the High Priestess's transformation, both clamoring for supremacy. With a strained focus, she dives back into her work, adjusting frequencies and realigning her instruments amid the storm. Sparks dance at the fringes of her vision, a reminder of the potential devastation looming just beyond her grasp. A fear gnaws at her stomach. A cataclysmic surge waits if she falters. This moment will decide their fate, the clashing powers the harbingers of either victory or ruin. As the chaos intensifies and the fractured energies collide, the tension in the air thickens to a palpable weight, each moment stretching into eternity. "Come on," she urges her device, fingers trembling yet steady. "Just hold together, hold." Yet even as she stabilizes the erratic energies, she knows this struggle is but the prelude. Her breath catches as she senses the impending threat. She has but a moment before everything spirals out of control, before the entwined destinies of Relek, the High Priestess, and Yh'gathul unleash a maelstrom of chaos into the world. Chapter 12: The Price of Salvation. In the inner sanctum of the living cathedral, pulsating with a rhythmic, otherworldly heartbeat, Relek crouches before the Chronophage Orb, its surface glistening like the scales of an ancient beast. Clawed limbs, sharp and menacing, tremble in the air, each twitch a promise of the unfathomable power he is about to unleash. The walls breathe around him, shifting in subtle unease as they anticipate the forthcoming chaos. As the organic architecture envelops him, Relek feels the weight of the Leviathan bones beneath his shifting form. He draws in a deep breath, tasting the tang of fear and determination. His body is an enigma. It shifts with geometric precision beneath the surface, hints of crystalline growths sparkling in the dim light. Today, he stands as a bridge between two worlds, the churning fate of his enclave resting on the razor's edge of his will. With deliberate grace, he raises one of his numerous clawed limbs, the air crackling with an electric tension as he strikes it into his chest. The impact sends shockwaves through his being, pain igniting and merging with an ancient, glowing energy that surges from within. Blood and aberrant light spurts forth, cascading down in a vibrant cascade, transforming into a shimmering mass of possibility and dread. A tumor-like shard of Yithian core detaches with a sickening squelch, its surface humming with potent resonance, a piece of his soul relinquished for a desperate hope. He locks eyes with Dr. Marina Chen, a few feet away, her presence a counterpoint of human urgency. Tightly pressed lips and clenched fists reveal the turmoil behind her composed exterior. He senses her anxiety, the trepidation that hangs thick between them. In her, he sees a reflection of his own convictions, the knowledge that their world teeters on the brink of a yawning abyss. As the shard materializes in his knotted grip, Relek's resolve hardens like the crystalline growths dotting his flesh. He hurls it toward the orb, the motion imbued with primal ferocity and a sliver of hope. The shard arcs through the sanctum, slicing through the stillness, trailing shimmering wisps of eldritch energy. Time stretches, an agonizing eternity encapsulated within the confines of their shared purpose. He cannot let his people fall to the shadows that creep ever closer. The air is taut with anticipation, vibrating in harmony with his heartbeat, a rhythm that matches the pulsing flesh of the cathedral. Marina's expression shifts, caught between admiration and fear, and in that instant a silence envelops them. Her final glance speaks volumes, echoing with unsaid words and the weight of impending sacrifice. In that pregnant moment, everything crystallizes, both fear and resolve intertwining within the tendrils of impending chaos. The shard connects with the orb, releasing a blinding burst of light that engulfs the inner sanctum in an eruption of sound and fury. Relek feels the connection thrumming through his very essence as the living structure of the citadel shudders violently. Flesh-like walls split and contract, undulating with primal instinct. Clusters of jagged, opaque teeth erupt along the surfaces, hungry for the energy released. The orb pulses erratically, emitting a high-pitched, resonant scream that pierces the air, a cry that speaks of ancient betrayals and cosmic horrors. Relek's form blurs, fracturing in the cacophony of raw, churning energy that unfurls like a tempest around him. The walls buckle, twisting into grotesque shapes, flesh and bone merging in a bizarre symphony of architecture. Images appear amidst the chaos, burning enclaves and dismembered human torsos merging with Yithian forms, a vision of intertwined destinies that merges madness with fleeting beauty. He pushes forward through the maelstrom, each pulse of the orb's energy tearing at the threads of reality. Screens of shifting images fill the crumbling walls, surreal and haunting, dragging him deeper into the swirling chaos. Time and space distort, a wretched amalgam of dismembered bodies and shattered dreams swirling together. The air crackles, saturated with static, as Relek sprints through the disintegrating architecture. He is aware of the collective consciousness he now shares with the shard, tethered by the fragility of their existence. The final burst of light scatters the remnants of the citadel, leaving behind a vortex of shifting corporeal fragments and scattered timelines. Everything unravels, the ancient bond that connects them, flesh, time, and the very essence of the Yithian descended, torn apart in a convulsion of transcendental madness. The moment the shard connects with the Chronophage Orb, a primal roar reverberates through the inner sanctum, a cacophony that shakes the very essence of existence. Flesh walls convulse violently, surrendering to the chaotic response of the orb, unleashing a wave of energy that disrupts all sense of reality. The cathedral morphs into an arena of nightmares, a realm where light and darkness entwine in a violent dance of disintegration. Relek feels it pulse through him, a surge of raw power ripping apart his senses. Every breath he draws feels laced with electrifying dread, mingling with the acrid scent of his own blood still coating his claws. He stands suspended between realms, caught within the fracturing threads of time that twist and shimmer like ghostly apparitions. With each heartbeat, the citadel convulses as if in pain, skeletal limbs of architecture writhing against a tide of energy, longing to escape the celestial tumult. His gaze flits about the sanctuary, now distorted and unrecognizable. Walls stretch and buckle, curving into grotesque forms that ooze cosmic terror. Beams of starlight pierce the ether, igniting clusters of dismembered material and scattering them like autumn leaves swept by a raging wind. There are voices, fragments of thought echoing through the maelstrom, a choir of lost souls whispering secrets, pleading for salvation, or perhaps inviting oblivion. Reality shatters, fracturing into a myriad of ephemeral images. Relek catches glimpses of twisted visions merging and unfurling within the storm, burning enclaves where his kin once thrived, grotesque figures writhing in macabre entanglements, half-formed humanoid figures that shimmer like mirages beckoning with imploring hands. Each vision plays on his fears, reminding him of all he stands to lose, the dark specters of despair flickering before him. Relek grips his claws tighter, the warmth of blood mixing with a cold dread that spirals into his gut. It dawns on him that he is no longer merely a spectator, he is a part of this spiraling catastrophe. With a lurch, he dives into the chaos, fueled by instinct and the deep-rooted knowledge that he cannot, must not, allow the abyss to claim him. His movements blur, propelled by an alien grace as he navigates the uproar, feeling the pulse of the otherworldly forces around him. The air thickens, charged with an electric tension, as twisted tendrils of darkness lash out, chasing him through the tumult. As he dodges collapsing structures and seeks refuge in the whirling maelstrom, Relek catches sight of his own silhouette fracturing, multiple reflections dancing around him, as if taunting his very existence. Around him, reality collapses and reshapes in a frenzied rush. He glances back at the wall, now a writhing canvas of unnameable horror, glistening bodies, unearthly contortions, twisted configurations of flesh and stone, merging into forms that transcend comprehension. Time warps, images layer upon one another, colliding and dispersing in an overwhelming tide of visceral stimuli, each fleeting image more horrific and beautiful than the last. Relek grits his teeth, a low growl reverberating in his throat, echoing against the void that surrounds him. With every ounce of willpower, he pushes forward, fighting against the dark tides that threaten to consume him whole. Chaos surges, pounding in waves against his form, compelling him deeper into a surreal dimension of madness. The flesh walls ripple with exquisite agony, latching onto him in desperate bids for survival, begging him to stay, to remain in this cacophonous dance of existence. Then the climax of all things builds. Energy spirals into a vortex that yawns wide, revealing the heart of the maelstrom, a core of pulsating light that thrums with raw potential. It draws in the remnants of the citadel like a vortex through reality. With a final resonant roar, it explodes outward in a cataclysmic spectacle, bright and consuming. Light envelopes him in a blinding flash, as a cascade of cosmic fragments scatter throughout the air, shattering everything familiar. The air ignites with pulses of color, sending shards of energy slicing through time like a cosmic knife through flesh. It is here, in this spectacle of obliteration, that the very fabric of reality strains, twisting beyond the horizon of comprehension. Then silence reigns, a deafening stillness that fills the remnants of what once was, a lingering echo of destruction leaving behind shadows and dreams. Relek finds himself suspended in the remnants of the now shattered citadel, among swirling vortexes of corporeal fragments and ephemeral timelines, the taste of cosmic victory bitter against his tongue. The foundation of his reality trembles, shaken to its core, leaving him grappling with what it means to be Yithian and human in a world transformed by choice and sacrifice. Chapter 13. Awakening in Ruins. Shattered bone and twisted metal cradle Relek's form, remnants of an ancient tenement reduced to ruin. Jagged fragments lacerate his skin, a jagged canvas displaying the grotesque artistry of collapse. He pushes against the rubble, claws scraping with a muted urgency, each movement punctuated by the choir of lost Yithian voices stirring within him, a haunting reminder of a world teetering on the brink of oblivion. Dust drifts lazily in the amber light of a dying sky, suffocating the air in its oppressive embrace. The tenement, once a testament to an ancient architecture that defied earthly logic, now lies as a crumbled husk, bones of leviathans encased in decay. Jagged remnants jut upward, reaching like grotesque fingers clawing at the heavens, shadows swirling at their bases, whispering forgotten secrets in languages best left unspoken. Amidst the devastation, Relek's form contorts, a stark contrast of the familiar and the alien, his body a battleground of transformation and pain. With a guttural effort, he rises. The left arm has become a writhing mass of tentacles, flexing in eerie synchrony. Each soft movement sends a shudder of sharp awareness through him. They beckon toward survival, but also remind him of his loss, of Yithian grace corrupted into something unrecognizable. The weight of ancient memories swells, each echo a shard of long-buried wisdom intertwined with anguish. The voices collide within his throat, a dissonance layered with the cadences of ages past, blending sorrow and resolve. As he steadies himself against the ruins, a crack in the skeletal framework of the tenement releases a cloud of dust, swirling like phantoms released from their ancient prison. He breathes deeply, taking in the dust-laden air, recognizing its taste, sharp like despair mixed with the metallic tang of violence. He surveys the crumbling landscape, surveying the remnants of his people's grandeur, now reduced to nothing but a cemetery for the ambitious, a memorial for lost dreams. Pain flares through him as he presses against the debris, shifting his tentacles to clear a path. With every scrape against the jagged remnants, the chorus of voices crescendos, as if mourning the death of their reality, and their lifeblood now pooled in the rubble beneath him. A vision pierces through, momentary yet vivid, their once proud enclave alive and thriving, not simply surviving in chaos, but flourishing among the stars, invoking awe and fear in equal measure. But here now a void looms where once vibrancy thrived. He feels their anguish, gnawing at the edges of his mind. This devastation, the palpable decay, manifests beyond the physical, a ripple through time itself, marking this juncture as a fracture in the cosmos. And yet, beneath the burden of history, he harbors a flicker of determination. He must rise, to protect those remnants that still cling to life, to battle against the encroaching cosmic horror threatening to devour them all. With another strained grunt, Relek pushes harder, tentacles coiling tightly around splintered fragments as he wills his broken body upwards. The claws on his remaining arm grip the edges of the shattered world. Muscles strained and raw, he feels the crescendo of voices swell. Fragments of Yithian knowledge reach out to him like the roots of ancient trees probing for sustenance in barren soil. He glances downward at the wounds carved upon his body, crystalline growths reflecting the faint light, a testament of survival, but a reminder of the darkness closing in. A deep resolve blooms within him. This horror shall not define them, nor would he falter in his oath. Relek stares into the weak light bleeding from above, and whispers the names of the lost, renewing his unyielding vow. "We will endure," he mutters, even as doubt flutters at the edges of his consciousness. "We will not let them take us." Each breath is heavy with memory and burden, yet he pushes upward toward the surface of destruction where a path remains, shrouded in uncertainty but grounded in hope. Through the choking dust and collapsing shadows, he finds the will to move, his very essence igniting the air around him, vibrant, alive against the tide of decay. The pain feels distant now. It becomes a rhythm to which he can dance. An alien grace emerges within him, tentative but powerful. And with that movement, with that rising, the depths of despair momentarily fade, enveloped in the possibility of purpose and resistance. Relek's gaze hardens as he steadies himself, emerging slowly from the ghost of his broken reality. As he stands, the dust settles in the air like an old wound threatening to close, but now illuminated by the faintest light of determination, the first step through the void, a testament to a survivor yet to tell their tale, amidst the shattering remnants of Vyr'kathul. Relek moves cautiously through the debris-strewn corridor, the air thick with the fetor of despair. Broken walls weep dark ichor, coiling tendrils from the gornal mushrooms pulsating with the rhythm of decay. Every footfall stirs the quiet. Shadows dance around him like lost memories, dark and consuming. He feels the decay in the air, cloying and tangible, each breath thickened with the remnants of his broken home. The corridor stretches ahead, an infinite winding tunnel of destruction. Dark ichor, oozing and glistening, traces paths down walls cracked open by the tremors of calamity. Fungi sprout in earnest here, their gornal caps swollen with spores that pulse as if drawing life from the remnants of an ancient civilization, darkly beautiful in their tragic resilience. Relek steps carefully, balancing his alien grace amid the scattered debris, tentacles writhing independently as they clear a path around shards of ancient tech and glistening biological remnants. The echoes of the lost swirl within him, tugging at his consciousness as he strains against their influence, urging him forward with a blend of urgency and fear. As he moves deeper into the bowels of the enclave, he catches a glimpse of movement, someone hidden amidst the twisted beams of rusted bone and steel. It's her, Dr. Marina Chen, the bridge builder, void speaker, a woman whose sharp, analytical gaze has delved deeper than most into the arcane truths of his kind. She slumps against a rusted beam, a silhouette of distress amidst the shadows. Her modified hazmat suit, stained and torn, speaks of her battles, encounters with the otherworldly perhaps, that have left their mark. He sees the slight tremor in her hands, evidence of the toll taken by the devastation surrounding them. "Relek, are you all right?" Her voice calls out, urgent but tempered with a breathless hope. Her words, a lifeline. "I will endure." The certainty in his tone is a facade, cracked yet resolute. He approaches her slowly, tentacles stretching forward to graze the edge of her suit, assessing the damage, a multitude of alien sigils smeared against the fabric. Each symbol tells a story of contact, both embraced and forsaken. Marina straightens as he nears, eyes searching his altered form, one arm shifted into alien appendages, crystalline protrusions marking his flesh. What happened? Her concern envelops them, her breath catching in the air between them. It is a question steeped in the unfathomable. Behind the tremors of her voice lies the echo of deeper fears, of shared loss and understanding of what they face. "Vyr'kathul has fallen," he replies, letting the weight of those words hang in the air. They settle heavy upon her, filling the space between hope and despair. A flicker of understanding passes between them. She knows he bears the brunt of that loss, physically, mentally. "We must continue. There is more at stake than this." With a nod, she pivots, glancing at the gnarled corridor ahead. The air feels electric with potential danger, each flickering light revealing shadows lurking just beyond the periphery of their senses. "Then we move," she states, each syllable forged in resolution, as she scans the environment, calculating, evaluating. Together they begin their measured trek over fractured stone, careful steps interspersed with scanning glances. The echoes of collapse murmur around them, a once grand reality transformed into a chaos that grips at their throats, clawing with invisible talons, threatening to pull them into the depths of their own nightmares. Marina pauses at a cracked panel of ancient technology, scanning the surface for clues while her fingers trail along the edge, leaving streaks against the decay. "If we can decipher this, it may provide answers," she murmurs, voice laced with the exhilaration of possibility. She seems so alive in this moment, even as her suit bears the scars of danger. "Time is against us," Relek warns, shifting his tentacles in agitation, stirring the dark ichor pooled below. "They stole the orb. We cannot remain idle." His words settle in the air like a gravity well, thick and suffocating. A shadow darts by, too quick to identify, sending a shiver down his spine. Their pasts entwine amid the chaos, their present laced with danger. The pulse of ancient technology thrums beneath them, a warning unvoiced yet all too palpable. "Then let's," she begins, but before she can finish, a tremor shakes the corridor, the remnants of the enclave's structure groaning as if it remembers the strength of its once vibrant community. "Go," Relek commands, and urgency ignites their movements as they forge forward together. Step after careful step, the two traverse a shattered legacy, weaving through the ethereal remnants that flutter in their wake, a silent prayer to the lost, echoing with each determined beat of their hearts. The connection between them solidifies in these moments, two figures against a collapsing world, navigating treacherous ground together. As they emerge from the corridor into an open plaza, they share a glance laden with unspoken fears and fragile hopes, a connection forged in the fires of calamity. The pair step into the plaza where destruction swells into a cacophony of collapse, a symphony of horror. Leviathan bone structures lie in heaps like carcasses washed ashore, and strange new lifeforms skitter along the broken pavement, whispering of eldritch secrets and chaotic remains. Shadows pulse in the spaces between ruins, flickering with an energy both alien and familiar, drawing a thin line between nightmare and reality. The plaza, once a gathering point for reverence, now breathes an atmosphere of grief. A heavy pallor blankets the landscape, every fragment of architecture a memory of an epic lost. Shattered structures rise unevenly, some swaying beneath unseen forces, their creaks reverberating like lamentations for a bygone civilization. Relek stands at the edge, scanning the grotesque beauty of decay, and feels an unsettling resonance deep within, a reflection of the rift tearing through the fabric of their world. Marina emerges beside him, hands trembling slightly as she taps on her integrated device. The soft beeps fill the air, rhythmically punctuating the silence as data swirls through her mind. "We need to understand this," she murmurs, her analytical mind coming alive with purpose. She watches the pulsing forms around them, marveling yet cautious, caught between reverence and horror. Relek's gaze narrows on the flickering shadows. Understanding is a double-edged sword. What we learn may also draw the darkness closer, he warns, the deeper echoes of ancient knowledge rolling through him, a warning from ages past. "True, but we can't remain ignorant." Her determination steadies the air, drawing him closer, an anchoring force amidst chaos. The device hums softly, information cascading onto the screen as she adjusts settings. "Look at these readings," she exclaims, pointing toward an intricate pattern that blooms in multicolored lines, a tapestry of energy fluctuations hovering over the rift, their logic bending beneath the weight of non-Euclidean geometries. Each pulse draws forth something from deep within him, a reminder of everything he's fought to protect, yet suffused with dread. "The rift," he breathes, gazing toward the anomaly threatening to consume their enclave, pulsating at the heart of the destruction. He feels its gravitational pull, intoxicating yet dangerous, a siren call for destruction lurking just below the surface of perception. "What do we do?" Her voice carries a sharp urgency, broken only by the hollow echoes of a reality teetering on the edge. "If we can harness this, we could." "Or unleash chaos," Relek interjects, his own voice a mixture of conviction and caution. They stand upon a precipice, bound by circumstance yet drawn by different fears, the universe entwining their fates amid spiraling shadows that flicker with electric whispers of ancient horrors waiting to rise. The skittering forms of creatures scattered in the wreckage capture their attention, bewildered and strange, remnants of the enclave's intertwined histories now woven into the very fabric of this disruption. Their eyes, luminescent and haunting, peer back, sizing them up, a dance of ancient predator and explorer, tracing lines of fate written long before either stepped into the plaza. With every deliberate movement, Relek's senses sharpen. Awareness wraps around him like a living shroud, each shadowed corner breathing potential danger. "Stay vigilant," he advises, casting his tentacles into the periphery, a barometer for threats. There is more to the rift than mere physical destruction. We must comprehend its implications. Marina nods, her focus shifting between the device and the world around them. "There's still a chance," she states firmly, excitement tempered by trepidation, her scholarly pursuit a balm against the gnawing horror. "But we need to gather data. I can make adjustments. If we chart the distortions, it may reveal a pattern, a way to stabilize what remains." They approach the pulsating rift, shadows twisting in patterns reminiscent of blood pulsing through veins. He breathes deeply, feeling the eldritch pull as if it calls to him, urging him to delve into its depths. "We may have limited time," he warns, but his voice remains steady, grounding them both. As she works, each click of her device melds into the background, punctuating the silence that shrouds them. "Relek," she begins, voice wavering but bold, "we need to understand the past to navigate this. Our connection," she gestures toward the rift, indicating the stakes, "could lead to revelations about the very nature of Yithian knowledge." But the plaza heaves again, groans echoing through the bones of collapsed structures, shadows quivering, as if responding to an unseen deity. He stands closer to her, the warmth of her presence a stark contrast against the cold edifice of uncertainty. "Whatever knowledge this offers," he replies, voice low, "let it serve us, not consume us." Marina glances toward him, fiery conviction igniting her eyes. "I refuse to back away now." The echo of her resolve mingles with the dissonance swirling around them, threading itself through the dense air heavy with eldritch tension. "We're tethered to these ruins and their power." And in that moment their eyes meet, two disparate souls bound by duty and the fragile threads of destiny intertwined in chaos. Beneath the hum of the unknown, they share a single breath of possibility, a flicker of hope that refuses to fade. With the plaza now a throbbing canvas of terror and mystery, they stand united, poised against a tide of fate where darkness swells. Every sound magnifies, every shift feels amplified, as they embrace the impending challenge together, two figures pushing against the storm, as the shadows dance in anticipation of the cosmic horror that lies ahead. As they prepare to confront the rift's growing presence, it looms before them, pulsating with potential catastrophe. They step forward as one, ready to face the mysteries entangling their fates, the depths of despair whispering truths they have yet to unearth. Whatever lies ahead, they shall carve their path through the night, intertwined by purpose, ready to uncover the ancient knowledge that beckons in the shadows. Chapter 14. The New Covenant. The council hall, once a place of unity, now stands as a graveyard of ambition, its shattered stone arches looming like forgotten specters in the dim light. Relek strides into this decaying bastion, his striking figure twisting under alien geometry, left arm a mass of writhing tendrils, unsettling in its movement. Broken concrete and rusted shards crunch beneath him, resonating with the unease of the assembly. Every presence felt like a blade poised for a strike, ready to fracture at the slightest tremor of conflict. He reaches the head of a rough-hewn wooden table, where the council members sit, their faces etched with doubt and a flickering desire for resolution. The broken pillars flanking them serve as reminders of the last convened council, the failures echoing through their huddled forms. Relek raises his arm, his tendrils twisting and curling in a rhythm both hypnotic and alarming, and silence engulfs the hall, thick and palpable, every gaze fixed upon him. "We forge our future now," he declares, voice layered with unearthly tones that ripple through the air like distant thunder. The words vibrate against the walls, igniting something dormant within the assembly. Eyes dart around, faces revealing the spectrum of their fears, curiosity, anxiety, stubborn defiance, all mired in the air thick with decay and whispered secrets. From the shadows, the enclave elders stir, inscrutable forms draped in iridescent chitin silk. Their milky eyes blink slowly, jaws stitched tight, and the tiniest chirrups of their insect familiars weave through the silence. They are the keepers of knowledge, their power masked behind layers of uncertainty, yet the weight of their presence seems almost comforting amidst the chaos. "Relek," a voice calls out, a human leader dust-streaked and weary. "What future do we forge amidst our ruin? Do you truly believe we can rise?" Skepticism lingers in her tone, setting off hushed murmurs among those gathered, the former eclipsed hand members glancing at one another, their ceremonial vestments hanging in tatters like forgotten dreams. In the flickering shadows, Relek's claws grip the edge of the ancient stone altar. His hold is firm, unwavering, yet a subtle vibration hums in his arm, his experience transcending time, the pressure of possibility churning beneath the surface. "We must look to the past for clarity," he replies, voice dropping, a resonant whisper that seems to draw them closer. "Our history is steeped in blood and lost potential, yet within the annals of our struggles lies the key to understanding." As tension rises, the sharp air stings with regret, mingling with the faint stench of mold creeping from the walls. The assembly shifts uneasily in their makeshift seats. The former cultist, a man haunted by the shadows of ambition, snaps, "We must not repeat our past mistakes." His voice cuts through the growing cacophony, invoking a torrent of feelings among those assembled. Panic erupts, each member speaking over the other, some angry, others pleading, while Relek's arm pulses with deliberate, observable patterns, a signal cloaked in an unspoken warning. Shadows play tricks on their minds as they filter words through fear and ambition, the clash echoing like drums before battle. He leans forward slightly, the tendrils undulating, drawing the assembly's focus back to him. "Silence," he commands, and in the following quiet, the tension coils tighter. Drifting currents of unresolved history weave through the space. They feel almost tactile, the remnants of the eclipsed hand's ruinous quest intertwined with Relek's ancient lineage. Fungal growth clings to the floor beneath their feet, and he senses it creeping into their very souls, impending doom lurking in the dark recesses of their minds. Enough. He lifts his transformed arm higher, tendrils catching glimmers of dim light that reflect sharp angles, illuminating the dull horror in the room. What lies ahead is forged by those willing to embrace their history, to unravel the forbidden knowledge that ties us all together. We will not run from the darkness, instead we shall explore it together. His proclamation resonates, sending shivers down their spines, a truth laden with the weight of his kind's struggles. The flickering lights overhead sputter, casting long shadows that elongate across their faces, distorting their expressions into masks of trepidation and intrigue. With each word, Relek lays a foundation, a promise wrapped in ancient lore and fragile hope, his otherworldly authority brushing against their fragile resolve. "What will it be then?" he presses. Will you cower in the corners of this hall, shackled by the fear of your own shadows, or will you stand beside me, ready to confront that which lurks just beyond our vision? The raw potency of his challenge fills the room, the electric hum echoing with the sharp urgency of survival, forging a collective decision that hangs delicately in the air. Beside Relek, Dr. Marina Chen stands with a heightened sense of determination, her lab coat stained with remnants of her exploration, oil and grime testifying to the arduous paths she's trod. Nervously, she taps on the handheld device that pulsates softly at her side, its glow casting eerie shadows that dance along the worn stone. The rough surface of the warped, moss-covered wall becomes her canvas as she steps forward, breath steadying amidst the chaos around them, intent on unveiling the secrets lurking in the overlap of their worlds. "Look here," she begins, voice edged with urgency, as the device projects a crude schematic into the air, a tangle of lines and symbols that pulse with an eerie luminescence. The projections flicker erratically, interwoven with threads of Yithian energy woven seamlessly with shards of human technology, the two merging into a tapestry of possibilities. "Our readings show fragments of Yithian energy interwoven with human technology here," she explains, tracing the lines with precision, her enthusiasm cracking through the surface tension. Relek shifts his gaze towards her, a fission of curiosity mixing with the cautious wariness that blankets the hall. As he observes her display, his tendrils contort with anticipation, the others around them caught between the fear of the unknown and the thirst for understanding. Her diagram, pulsing like a living organism, glows softly against the cracked stone, illuminating the faces that show a mix of intrigue and fear. "A technological resurrection," whispers one of the former cultists, skepticism clinging to his voice as he clutches a charred piece of parchment. The assembly hums with a volatile mix of unease, eyes darting between the projection and Marina's intense, dedicated expression. "Are we to believe," another voice interjects, "that such a connection won't bring about our doom once more?" They shift restlessly, an undercurrent of suspicion emerging, bred from a history fraught with betrayal and cosmic horror. Tension hangs thick like the low-hanging fog of forgotten nightmares. "Let us not forget," a third adds, "the calamity born from such arcane knowledge in the past." Their collective gazes sharpened towards Marina. Their skepticism felt like knives against the warm glow of her discovery. In response, Marina takes a steadying breath, her determination flickering against the tide of doubt. "This energy," she emphasizes, voice rising to pierce through the uncertainty, "could lead us to understanding rather than chaos. It's not simply power, it's a bridge, a connection to something far beyond us, beyond any of our previous follies." She pauses, attempting to catch their eyes, intertwining human resolve with ancient wisdom. Knowledge can transform fear into unity. Yet, murmurs continue to weave through the assembly. Voices overlapping, distrust resurfaces as cliques form in subtle glances. Relek's presence, though commanding, feels as if it's struggling against the currents of tumult, a beacon in a tempest swirling dangerously close to the edge of confrontation. The former cultists tremble, words barely containing their dissent. They may seek the remnants of power, but echoes of ruin paint the air thick with trepidation. "Do you think you can stir a tempest and control it?" one sneers, frustration spilling over. The gathered assembly grumbles, forming a knot of voices like the gathering of storm clouds, chaos bubbling at the edges. In that moment, the hall becomes an altar of anxiety, a cauldron simmering with impending conflict. Relek rises, his commanding presence serving as an anchor, drawing reluctant attention back to him. "Enough," he states with gravitas, his voice cutting through the storm of doubts like a sharp blade. The echoing silence that follows feels weighty, infused with the collective apprehension of the assembly. "We face a crossroads," he declares, staring into the sea of unease. "Friction only serves to fracture the potential of what we could achieve together." Unity requires risk, but it is a risk we must take, for if we do not dare to walk into the unknown, we condemn ourselves to remain adrift in uncertainty. Dr. Marina looks up, hope igniting in her chest. Perhaps there lies the chance to transform fear into something beautiful. As Relek speaks, a shifting current moves through the assembly, discord yielding just slightly to a flicker of potential. Embrace the knowledge, harness it, and we may yet forge a path forward. But we must stand together amidst this fracturing darkness, for if we retreat, our past will become our shackles. With that proclamation, the assembly remains encircled in an uneasy quiet, their futures tethered to this moment, balancing on the edge of uncertainty. Marina senses the tension weaving through her veins, the collision of humanity and ancient wisdom creating an electric charge, stirring a fragile hope for the uncharted journey that lies ahead. Chapter 15: Echoes of the Unbound. As Relek strides down the shattered pathway, between split concrete blocks and the remains of Leviathan bones, his sharp claws scrape against rusted metal debris, a hollow echo marking his passage. The air is thick with the stench of decay, yet within the despair there lies a dark beauty. His form, ever shifting, holds an allure that commands attention amidst the ruins. Geometric shifts dance beneath his skin, crystalline growths catching the faint light filtering through the warped heavens above. He pauses abruptly, breath caught in the unsettling stillness. A distorted reflection flickers in a broken window, a cruel tease revealing jagged silhouettes of a parallel cityscape. The fractured image pulses, wavers, as if inviting him into a darker iteration of reality. His tentacle arm shifts sharply at the unexpected image, the writhing appendages brushing against the wall of the tenement as he leans in closer, breath held tight. A shard of glass slips from the frame, clattering against the cracked pavement, drawing attention back to the decay around him. Visions of spires warped into impossible angles rise in his mind. This city once teemed with life. Now it hungers in echoes of its past, an existence morphed by something sinister. Relek grips the leaning wall, clawed fingers digging into splintered edges as the flash recedes, leaving visible scratches on his skin and a slight tremor in his posture. The pulse of the cityscape lingers in his thoughts, blurring the line between reality and nightmare. The shadow of the reflection gnaws at him, a reminder of the forces beyond his understanding, an acknowledgement of the cosmic horror he faces. Yet within this weight, there's a stubborn determination, an echo of ancient knowledge whispering against his bones. He knows the dangers of curiosity and the allure of forgotten truths. Still, the hunger to grasp understanding urges him forward, even as foreboding knots in his gut. With one last glance into the shard of a mirrored world, he steps away, resolved yet unsettled. Each stride carries him deeper into the heart of his enclave, into the unknown uncertainties that await. The remnants of his people cling to the shadows of Leviathan bone tenements, their futures tangled in the spectral hints of shifting reality. In this stark wasteland, the familiar dance of survival carries a new rhythm, one fraught with danger and whispers of evolution. Relek pushes open a battered metal door, its rusty hinges protesting in a muted cry, and steps into the cramped workshop, a sanctuary of salvaged tech and scattered handwritten charts. Here, amidst the chaos, purpose reigns. The low hum of machinery merges with the frenzied scratching of a pen on paper, a rhythm of discovery that defines their partnership in this unfolding horror. The air crackles with urgency, the space littered with memories of exploration, each device a testament to their attempts to bridge worlds. Dr. Marina Chen stands beside a portable holographic scanner, her gloved hands deftly adjusting the device as she frowns at the shifting display on a cracked screen. Relek's gaze catches the flicker of information on the map, indicators blinking like a heartbeat amidst the ruins. His tentacle arm shifts with a mind of its own, unnervingly graceful in its undulation. He gestures toward the pulsing line on the map, his voice resonating over the low hum of machinery. The fissure shows here. Marina's sharp eyes follow his finger, absorbing the intricacies of his ancient perspective and how it entwines with her scientific approach. We need to gather more data. She taps commands into a modified tablet, her focus unwavering. Each stroke reveals her methodical nature, a blend of human rationality and a burgeoning respect for the enigmatic lore surrounding them. Every movement there, Relek states, his voice layered with echoes, seems to draw forth another facet of reality. He watches her as she jots down measurements on a worn notepad, captivated by her unwavering diligence amidst the chaos. The rapport between them thickens, marked by an unspoken understanding that transcends the limits of their disparate lineages. "Are we sure it's safe to approach?" she replies, glancing up from her scribbles, eyes alight with an excitement that skirts the edges of fear. The inquiry hangs between them, a weight neither can ignore. In the depths of this research, the risks become more pronounced, the line between exploration and devastation razor thin. Relek steps closer, the air tinged with the unnameable, and energy pulsating through their world. Safety is a luxury. Knowledge is our only defense. His tentacles twitch, a testament to his otherworldly nature. There's a fire behind his resolve, an unwavering commitment to his people and their ancient traditions, and a realization that the chaos swirling around them cannot extinguish the flames of discovery. Marina nods, capturing his fervor as if it fuels her own. Then we push forward. We gather what we can. She gestures around the cluttered room, a confluence of human ingenuity and Yithian enigma. We're not just cataloging changes, we're redefining our understanding of existence. Their focused discussion merges with the clatter of falling metal pieces around them, a symphony of diligence echoing through the cramped workshop. The clock ticks on, a relentless reminder of the impending cosmic storm. Each moment a chance to grasp the truths veiled in shadows, each exchange a thread in the tapestry of their intertwined destinies. As Relek senses the undercurrents of uncertainty wending through the room, he steels himself for the confrontation ahead, aware of the boundaries they are about to breach and the secrets that may emerge from the chasms lurking in the depths of the cosmos. Outside, in a debris-strewn public square beneath a fractured amber sky, Relek and Marina step into a small cluster of survivors, each face etched with the marks of evolution. Here, among the remnants of their shattered lives, they embody the very essence of adaptation, the promise of survival tangled with the foreboding realities of their existence. The air is heavy with tension, a collective heartbeat echoing through the throng, resonating with fear and determination. One survivor casually lifts a heavy concrete block with elongated, altered fingers, once human, now a grotesque extension of some cosmic evolution. The ease with which the individual manipulates the weight speaks of an unanticipated strength, a physical adaptation born from chaos. Marina watches with an unwavering gaze, her portable device reflecting a flurry of data as she mutters, "Remarkable." The survivor catches her eye, a glimmer of pride mixed with trepidation, a flicker of a smile as if to say, "This is us now." Another survivor taps a rhythmic pattern on a shattered digital panel, eyes shining with an uncanny, flickering light that dances with madness and clarity. His fingers tap out a code, something cryptic, messages veiled beneath layers of change. Relek strides forward, his claws tapping on broken pavement, the sound echoing through the still air as he inspects the transformations around him. Each face reveals a story, each body a testament to the dark symphony of evolution and despair. "What is happening to us?" a voice rings out, sharp with uncertainty, a wounded survivor extending a calloused hand toward Relek. He meets their gaze, perceiving the blend of fear and hope swimming in their eyes. "Is this the new reality?" Relek, ever resolute, responds, It is a reality we must embrace. His voice carries the weight of knowledge, ancient echoes resonating through the community that is forming in the aftermath. Change does not mean destruction. It can herald strength. The group forms a loose semicircle around him, their guarded glances intermingling with trust, their collective experiences stitching a fragile fabric of unity. Marina, standing tall, holds her device high, recording rapid shifts in motion and structure as she murmurs to herself, "They're evolving." Each word hangs heavy in the air, a premonition, an acknowledgement of what lies ahead. As she collects evidence, the fractured light casts an eerie glow over their faces, illuminating a canvas of survival that stretches beyond mere existence. The thrumming of the community intertwines with the steady hum of machinery, each survivor's evolution becoming a part of a larger narrative, one that whispers of hope even amid horror. The interactions swirl in a blend of tension and understanding, each connection forging a neural pathway in their collective memory. Together, they begin to redefine their boundaries, stitching together remnants of the past into a vision of the future, shaped by the darkness looming on the horizon. As twilight descends, the public square breathes with newfound energy, an undercurrent of resilience shifting through the survivors. Relek feels it, a kindred spirit binding their fates together, and knows they are no longer isolated souls trapped in chaos. They are a community, transformed, evolved, and poised on the cusp of something greater. Chapter 16: The Wound and the Suture. In the crumbling embrace of Vyr'kathul's outer district, the ground convulses as two figures race against time. Shattered remnants of ancient bones jut out like teeth from the earth, and tattered banners flap in the acrid wind. Relek, a striking silhouette of geometric menace, carves a path through the ruins, his claws leaving behind jagged marks upon the air. Beside him, Marina's modified hazmat suit glints beneath the feeble light, her flickering handheld display illuminating the disarray. "Keep pace," Relek growls, his voice a reverberation that resonates against the bones surrounding them. The words are clipped, urgent, his presence an unyielding force driving them forward through the devastation. Marina glances at the device in her hands, a complex array of data that flashes warnings and coordinates, distorted but necessary. The readings are off the charts. She snaps back, adjusting her stride as they duck beneath a crumbling archway. She feels the pulse of the Enclave's despair vibrating in her bones. It fuels her resolve. They weave between jagged edifices, the weight of history pressing down upon them. Their boots crunch on the debris, a cacophony of sound, and in that disarray, a faint hum echoes, a resonance that speaks of shifting geometry beneath the surface. Concrete, irregular shapes whirl past them in the periphery, disorienting yet thrilling. Relek's tentacle arm sways as he slashes through a hanging banner, fabric tearing like paper, revealing sigils obscured beneath layers of grime. The air is thick with the taste of entropy, and every step sends shards of anxiety spiraling through Marina's mind. "Faster," she urges, her voice rising above the noise of their escape. The very ground seems to pulse, shifting unnaturally beneath their feet, as if the world itself conspires to slow them down. Each leap over fissures feels perilous. Every jagged protrusion is a reminder of their fragile existence. A roar reverberates from the depths of the enclave, a guttural, haunting sound that twists the air, slicing through the remnants of what once was. "They're following us," Relek hisses, eyes narrowing as he senses the chaos closing in around them. Marina can't afford to falter. She picks up speed, recalibrating her readings, her heart racing as dread mounts. Each step brings them closer to something terrible and unknown. Yet in that desperation, she feels the electric tension of potential, of knowledge waiting to be unearthed. "I've got a lock on the coordinates," she calls, hope punctuating her fear. The churning air feels heavier, a malignant presence lurking behind them, twisting space and sanity into threads of darkness. Relek glances back, sharp claws ready at his side. Then we make our stand. Now. Just as she processes his words, the ground shifts violently, sending them sprawling. Cracks splinter, and an echoing moan reverberates as an entity, a swirl of shadows and shapes, breaks through the surface of their reality. The air bristles with electricity, a warning. Relek. Marina gasps, scrambling to her feet, her instincts flaring in response to danger. The skeletal remains of the enclave stretch toward them like desperate fingers as Relek rises, tentacles writhing in the twilight glow. To the core, now, he commands, voice low but laced with a ferocity that propels them onward. In tandem, they sprint, urgency propelling their limbs as the screams of the dying enclave scream against the dull roar of relentless horrors. Beneath their footsteps, the ground pulses with the remnants of lost souls, echoing through the shattered remains of their once proud home. They are not just escaping, they are battling the very essence of time, knowledge, and dark prophecies entwined. As they disappear into the crumbling shadows, the rift of the void opens wider behind them, ready to swallow the remnants of all that was, eager to consume whatever remains of Vyr'kathul's fading heartbeat. As they plunge deeper into the bizarre underbelly of the enclave, the very ground twists beneath their feet, defying Euclidean logic. The walls pulse with organic textures, breathing like a monstrous heart, the air thick with unidentifiable sense of decay and vitality entwined. Here, reality fractures. Corridors bend in on themselves like cruel jokes, leading them further into the maw of madness. Marina holds up her scanning device, fingers dancing over controls as it emits rapid beeps and green flashes. Stay sharp, she warns, eyes darting across the churning space. Shadows writhe and slither on the periphery, merging with the twisting architecture of their surroundings. Convergence point, Relek states with gravitas, muscles taut, his tentacle arm undulating beside him. The shapes around them shift and reform, as if mocking their presence, ever threatening. This space, it's unstable. Understatement, she mutters, her pulse racing, as the device reveals fluctuations of energy, delineating a rippling rift in the fabric of space-time. Suspended within it, fragments of a human torso slowly drift, grotesquely encrusted with Yithian sigils and void-smearing fungal clusters. A chill races down Marina's spine as she registers its unmistakable condition, a half-formed nightmare caught between worlds. Relek's gaze sharpens, claws at the ready. "We need to secure it," he declares, eyes narrowing. As he steps closer, a chill breathes down their necks, sending the atmosphere crackling with potential violence. "Careful," she hisses, but before she can raise her device to scan further, a cloud of spore-laden mist bursts forth from the rift, enveloping them in a swirling mass of phosphorescent dread. Relek reacts in an instant, slashing through the suffocating haze with swift strikes of his claws. "Keep the perimeter clear," he commands, tentacles writhing aggressively as he disperses the spores, forcing a shriek from an amorphous entity that recoils in horror. It reconfigures, reshaping itself into a grotesque amalgam of human and eldritch flesh, its skin pulsating with sickening hues. "Secure it now." Marina's voice cuts through the miasma, her breath steadying despite the encroaching chaos. She shifts into a defensive stance, her form hidden behind a jagged stalactite that pulsates with bioluminescent rhythms. Her heart races, each beat in synchrony with the air vibrating with impending violence. "Flank it," Relek says, eyes glimmering with ancient instincts. His presence is steady, an anchor in the surreal storm. They've faced horrors before, but this is different. The entity howls, distorting reality further, and Marina squints into the haze, adjusting her device for maximum clarity. "If we don't subdue it." "I know," Relek interjects. He advances with a predatory grace, eyes locked on the writhing form before them. It morphs and shifts, a ghastly dance, every grotesque change an embodiment of desperation and hunger. Now. Relek lunges, razor claws slicing through the air, aiming for the core of the abomination, while Marina's device whirs in response, lights flickering in anticipation. She takes a breath and bursts from her cover, diving to a safer position, all while calculating her next move. Her thoughts race, a push and pull between the chaos of instinct and the cold precision of technology. The air hums around them as they engage the entity in a deadly ballet, a pulsating display of predator and prey caught in a cosmic spiral. Each motion charged with desperation, each choice crucial, they dance with shadows ready to face the unknown. As Relek grapples with the amorphous horror, the ground shifts around them, pulsating with the rhythm of time unraveling, as reality itself grows thicker with every shudder. "Cover me," Relek growls, his claws glinting ominously as he prepares for a final strike. And in the throes of creation and destruction, Marina steadies her breath, feeling the electric pulse of eldritch energy crackle around her as they stand ready to confront the nightmare lurking in the heart of their world. They step into a clearing, the very air shimmering with unstable temporality, a visual tapestry of agonized images and alien geometries. Each breath pulls at the strings of time, an invisible pressure that tingles along their skin, as tremors beneath their feet reveal fleeting visions of horrors yet to come and those that have long since passed. "Stay vigilant," Relek advises, his voice a low murmur tinged with reverence as he surveys the pulsing atmosphere. Distorted faces flicker in and out of existence, twisting into expressions of agony, laughter, terror, a temporal carnival of despair. This is a point of convergence. Marina kneels beside the jagged remains of a panel, flickering energy signatures sparking against her fingertips. "We'll need to reinforce our position," she declares, urgency dripping from her words as she drags it toward the clearing's center. The ground quakes softly, releasing echoes of events unfurling within their fractured reality. "Here," Relek nods, aiding her effort as they struggle to assemble their makeshift barrier. The panels groan under cosmic pressure, each resonating pulse echoing their vulnerability against the maelstrom of existence. "Scan for anomalies," she instructs, quickly adjusting her device's parameters to monitor the escalating chaos. Each flicker lights her face with an eerie glow as she checks for spikes in temporal energy, her heart racing in rhythm with the pulses of unstable reality. He holds the structure steady, tentacles shifting as they prepare for an imminent threat. The sensations around them thrum with dark anticipation, each tremor a reminder of what lurks beyond the veil of perception. "Relek," she murmurs, eyes widening as a disturbing presence looms nearer, a swirling manifestation of time warped. "This isn't just a rift, it's alive." Suddenly, through the churning expanse, a newborn star emerges, swirling forth in kaleidoscopic glory, a mass of radiant chaos, light and dark intertwined. "What in the outer dark?" Marina breathes, mesmerized and horrified. Its laughter, chunky, resonant, unmistakably alive, fills the clearing, reverberating off the walls, warping the air. Tendrils of light twist and elongate, reaching towards them, a sentient force eager to connect. "It's seeking something," Relek states with growing concern, muscles coiling as if anticipating a predatory leap. "We must contain this before." The ground vibrates violently, blurring their vision as time flickers like a faulty light, momentarily breaking reality into segments. Screams of the past collide with whispers of futures unwritten, making the very air crackle with static. "Steady," she yells, bracing against the onslaught as energy ripples through the barrier, testing its resolve. "Concentrate," he commands, the calm of his presence anchoring her mind even as the otherworldly laughter grows louder, casting shadows deeper. The barriers pulse under stress, reality pulling taut like an overextended thread. With every ounce of will, they focus on their roles, the synthesis of technology and primal force fusing together against the tumultuous chaos. The star is a conduit, Marina realizes, her voice sharp as she processes its nature, a nexus of time itself. And as they brace against the pressure, resolve crystallizing like a weapon in their hearts, Relek's grip steadies the barrier. "We're ready," he asserts, clawed hand clutching tightly to their fate, knowing their confrontation isn't merely with a star, but the very essence of existence as it twists and trembles in their hands. A sudden gust of wind sweeps through the clearing, launching them backward as darkness cascades around, drawing them closer to the brink of revelation, and their laughter intertwines with cosmic madness echoing into the void. Chapter 17: Guardians of the Veil. In the clearing, where remnants of Vyr'kathul lie shattered, Relek stands alone, a striking figure in the encroaching twilight. Claws scrape against rusted shards of metal, sending echoes that slice through the charged air. A mixed group of humans and Yithians mimic his precise stances on the scarred concrete, their shapes distorted by the twilight, embodying both tension and determination. The recent sigils, drawn hastily in quicksilver blood, shimmer underfoot like specters of ancient conflicts. "Keep your stance straight, strike true," Relek intones, each word layered with echoes from another time. His tentacle-formed arm glides in fluid arcs, directing movements like a conductor guiding an unseen orchestra. The air thickens, vibrates, almost tangible under his authority. One trainee, a nervous human, lurches forward, momentum wrenched from doubt. He stumbles, recovering with a sharp exhalation, muscles coiling and stretching in synchronization with his chaotic breaths. Relek's claws tap against a broken pillar, their scrape resonating like a warning, an ancestral memory pulsing through the veins of the enclave. As the group adjusts, the shadows of anxiety pass across their faces, fists clench and unclench, apprehension churning in palpable waves. They mirror Relek's angular movements, striving for perfection, desperately trying to translate ancient knowledge into immediate action. A young Yithian, graceful and hesitant, seems to float rather than walk, yet falters when the moment demands confidence. Relek glances at him, his sharp features softening slightly, perhaps understanding the weight of expectation. "Feel it," he commands, voice laced with multiple harmonic undertones, rising to wrap around the trainees like a cloak. "The rhythm of the world shifts beneath our feet. Dance with it." Amidst the demonstration, Marina stands nearby, her white-streaked hair pulled back tight. She calibrates a bulky scientific instrument, the gauges flickering and beeping, the sounds synchronizing with the faint eldritch hum in the air. Her eyes, sharp and analytical, sweep over the practice, noting each falter and triumph, each flicker of hope mingling with despair. "Careful," she warns as the device sputters, adjusting its dials rapidly. "We're measuring energy fluctuations. They can be unpredictable." With every flick of her fingers, she becomes more in tune with the intensity of the moment, a bridge between worlds, between the ancient knowledge flowing through Relek and the scientific understanding she has cultivated through years of exploration. The convergence is alive around her, tension stretching like the sinews of the universe. As another trainee lunges forward, nails grazes the edge of power, Relek pivots with supernatural grace. He mirrors their movements, embodying what they yearn to learn. "Focus. Strike at the heart of the darkness that encroaches." The rhythm of his voice harmonizes with the rising pulse of the clearing. Trainees find their stances aligning, the air around them thick with determination. Across the range of anxious faces, a flicker of hope emerges. The humans draw on their willpower, entwining it with the resolute presence of the Yithians. The marks on the ground serve as potent reminders of their pasts, a history of struggle they now face together, like a sinewy thread woven through the shattered remains of their home. At the forefront, Relek begins another sequence, each motion sharp, defined, and full of an ancient grace, presenting a complexity that baffles some, inspires others. The humans begin to find their rhythm, flowing between the moments of doubt like shadows blending with light. A soft breeze wraps around them, dust motes dancing in the twilight. The session ebbs and flows, building towards a crescendo, a palpable energy hanging in the air like thick fog. A trainee finally delivers a strike that feels almost right, confidence woven into muscle and spirit, filling the air with a near-magnetic hum. "Good," Relek encourages, his voice layered with the weight of approval, reverberating through their cores. "But do not grow complacent. This is but the beginning." As the training session reaches its zenith, the air shifts suddenly, chilling, sending ripples through the group. The atmosphere thickens, urgency lingering, as shadows pulse along the ground like whispers of forgotten tales. Relek stands tall, claws gleaming against the rusted debris, their potential shimmering just beyond the threshold of understanding. "Return," he calls, his words resonating with command. "Tomorrow we will delve deeper." And as the group begins to disperse, the sigils beneath their feet pulse subtly, promising untold stories, echoing the potential that lies within their hands, a reflection of both their alien and human nature intertwined, battling against the encroaching horrors of the universe. Inside the gutted bone cathedral, light filters through jagged openings, casting fragmented shadows that dance along the worn floor. The council chamber, a remnant of Vyr'kathul's grandiosity, trembles under the weight of tension. Relek and Marina sit at the head of an elongated table, a dark artifact pulsing ominously at the center, its energy surging with a rhythmic menace that captures the attention of all assembled, igniting an undercurrent of anxiety. A hush envelops the gathering as eyes drift toward the dark, pulsating artifact resembling the Chronophage Orb. It lies on a slab of ancient stone, blacker than the shadows engulfing them, its surface occasionally throbbing in sync with the metallic clatters emanating from nearby damaged fixtures. Whispers bounce around the chamber, twitchy glances exchanged among human leaders and the withered elders, all trying to understand the nature of the horror before them. Relek's gaze slices through the anxious murmurings. "We stand at a precipice," he declares, a clawed fist slamming down onto the table, shaking the murmurs to silence. The sound reverberates through the room, solidifying fear as tension thrums beneath the surface. To leave this unchecked is to invite annihilation. But what if it is merely a relic? A council member shoots back, his voice tight. "A tool that—" "Tools can turn," another council member interjects, leaning forward. "We cannot dismiss what we do not understand." Tension surges as fists clench, defiance simmering beneath their unease. Eyes dart between the artifact and the speakers, some brimming with skepticism, others tainted with dread. Marina watches, fingers dancing over the gadget resting before her. The machine's screens flicker with streaming data, its gauges beeping as it records vital fluctuations. The readings indicate volatile energy spikes. "Proceed with caution," she says, her voice cutting through the discord with calculated precision. The moment stretches, a breath suspended in the air, as her measured tone draws focus, if only briefly, to the scholar amongst them. Is it an artifact of creation or destruction? A voice punctuates the silence, reverberating within the chamber. The elders' mouths remain carefully stitched shut, yet their insect familiars translate their thoughts in a discordant chorus. The chronophage bears gifts we cannot fathom. We must tread carefully. As words fly around the table, Relek's claws twitch with impatience. We cannot theorize while time dwindles. The cosmos shifts, we sense it. He gestures toward the pulsating orb, an embodiment of their impending doom, threading fear and desperation through the assembly. We seek to bind it, or let it unleash unfathomable darkness upon us. A different elder, their voice echoing with ancient weight, steps forward through their swarm of chittering familiars. Fear blinds you, but knowledge shines. We must seek unity, lest we fracture under the weight of our past mistakes. The argument swells, a cacophony of voices clashing against one another, fear and ambition dancing dangerously close to chaos. Marina, caught in the eye of the storm, senses the swirling energies of both the artifact and the gathered leaders. "There is a thread between us," she implores, weaving a path through conflict with her own uncertain tone. "One that binds human and Yithian perspectives. Together we can reach clarity." Relek leans closer, his sharp gaze locked on the center of the room. "Then let us unveil its truth." The clash of wills sharpens, blood pumping through his veins like a visceral battle. In the thick air, something volatile waits, a sense of urgency coiling tight as they confront their history. With each tense exchange, voices rise, fists pound the table, and resolve weakens against the strain of uncertainty. "We risk everything if this remains unchecked." A council member barks, eyes wide, desperate, aware of the shadow the orb casts upon them. Marina's gadget sputters. Flashes of data cross its screens, illuminating her face in flickering light. "The core exhibits temporal instability," she asserts, fighting through the chaos. "It could fracture reality as we know it. We must." But before she can finish, a sudden disturbance quakes through the chamber. An audible crack echoes as the artifact shudders violently, sending shockwaves through the ground. The pulsing intensifies, seizing the attention of every mind in the room, a visceral reminder of the chaos that lives just beyond their understanding. Faces white with fear, their resolve shatters. "What have we awakened?" An anxious whisper pierces through the collective gasps, uncertainty roiling in waves. The moment hangs, a dread-laden pause suspended over the council chamber as they each regard the pulsing darkness between them. Eyes shift, glances exchanged, the balance teeters on the edge of a knife. In the glow of the artifact, the assembled figures linger, caught in a web of fear, anger, and the search for clarity. The decisions made here would alter the course of existence itself.